Hello, good evening, everyone. It is time for another episode of Top 5. This is episode 26, and tonight we are ranking our top 5 favorite shooters. And of course, as always, tonight with me I have my awesome co-host, Jason. What's up, Jason? How you doing today?
Good, just struggling with a non-focusable camera tonight.
Yeah, you've been fussing with that thing for like the last 10 minutes backstage. I'm doing good as well. I got a bunch of stuff done around the house today. Cleaned out my garage. It is all clean, power washed and everything. Something I've been putting off for literally years. So it feels good to. That was like the last thing on my to-do list of things that I've been getting done while I've been unemployed. So
there you go.
To get base in my house is like all clean, all set now. So it was good. And I washed my car since I was like, it's out and it's nice and warm and sunny today. So I'll wash my car as well because it was filthy. But with that, let's go ahead and introduce our awesome guest for tonight. We got our honorary third chair, Carl, joining us as not as always, but as usual. So good evening, Carl. How you doing?
I wish I was playing Pirates in Hawaii. I'm doing good though. I'm just all joking aside. That game has got me very addicted. So I'm very happy with that game so far.
How much time do you have in it so far?
Almost 20 hours.
Okay, and it came out.
I was able to play it last Thursday.
Okay, so it's been out for a few days now. I was thinking like it was like yesterday or something. You got like 20 hours in like 24 hours.
Yeah, I actually bought it on PC because my physical copy is not going to be here until this Friday, or possibly later, more likely than not, because I ordered it from Canada to save some dollars. And I'm going on vacation on Saturday, so it probably won't even be here for me to play it. So I was like, well, I want to play it. And I also found out it's Steam Deck verified. Okay. So I've been testing it out on the Steam Deck. It runs really damn good on the Steam Deck too. And very fun. I'm only on chapter 2, but I've been doing all the side quests and everything of all the Yakuza goodness. So that's why it's also been taking up so much of my time.
Sweet. And I maybe it was the Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii, but I thought you had another very similar issue within like the last few weeks where you ordered a game and then the physical was going to come super late, so you just bought it digitally.
Yes, Avowed.
Avowed, okay. I was like, I swear you had another game where you had like a very similar situation.
Yeah, I actually got the Steelbook copy because I wanted like the map and just to have something physical, even though it doesn't have a disc. I know it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's so
but dumb. But then it got lost in California, so I was like, oh boy, yeah, I know.
It was my fault. I hijacked it.
So I just paid for the early access because I have Game Pass. So I was just like, well, I'll just play it when it comes here, you know. And then I gave away the code to somebody else that wanted to try it.
That's right. I remember you asking if anyone wanted. I'm like, I have access to it on Game Pass as well, so I will not ask you for that.
Yeah. I don't have any issues with Avowed. I just got done playing all the original God of War games, so Avowed is a much slower paced game comparatively. So yeah. I was just like, and I need something that's more high T instead of low and slow. So that's why I kind of stopped playing that and went right to Pirates because, you're just doing all sorts of crazy stuff in that game.
Sweet. So, all right, and our fourth chair joining us tonight, returning. Is Lowest Expectations. What is up? Welcome again to another episode of Top 5. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing good. Hello there, everyone, and I'm ready to talk about how much we love shooting things in the face.
Let's see here. On a stream last night, I was shouting out that we're going to be ranking our top 5 shooters tonight, and someone in chat was like, "Ooh, is Kyle Rittenhouse on that list?" I'm like, not the type of shooter I was talking about, but that's a good one.
Oh.
And I was like, no, we are ranking our top 5 favorite video game shooters, first or third person. So, but good to have you back for another episode of Top 5. And I think I saw some disappeared on me, a few people in chat already. So our October, or I'm assuming that's what it's short for, October 23 Mike is back again. Good to see you again, saying we went from best games to fictional love interests and now shooters, aka the kill everything you see games. Yes. We may theme certain episodes to certain things that are going on either in the video game industry or times of the year, but there's no real rhyme or reason to why we do some episodes at some time. So yeah, it can be all over the place, from love to violence.
Yep, that's what we say. Is like whatever anybody wants to talk about, we'll do it that day, or we'll figure something out. So if anybody wants to join us, they can join us and talk about whatever they like.
So, and dude says, "Ooh, poop tube," but he says, "Never mind, Rumble is up." Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I had a problem with Rumble last night as well. It just decided not to stream to Rumble, but it looks like he said Rumble is working now. So glad to see that's working for you, dude. And Sad Lad Chat is here saying titties. That was last episode. You have to go back and watch that one. But good to see you. So yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that one.
Oh no, I
Oh, okay.
But I forget about this every time to come up with some questions, but I just thought of one off the top of my head because it's a pretty easy one. So before we get into our topics, does everyone remember? You don't have to say whether this is on your list or not, as to not spoil anything. But does anyone remember what their first shooter game was? So for me, it is not on my list. I will spoil that, but probably the first one I remember playing. And playing a lot of was GoldenEye. That was a lot of fun. Playing 4-player split screen for the first time. Had a lot of fun with that one. So that was probably the first one that I played. I'm pretty sure. So curious for you guys if you remember what the first shooter you played was.
Yeah, with the how we had everything separated with the only first and third person. I'm trying to think if it was Doom or if it was Wolfenstein 3D. And if it was Doom, it was definitely on the Super Nintendo. So I'm gonna say, because that's the one that first comes to my mind, I'm gonna say it was Doom on the Super Nintendo, because that's the one that's really like coming with the the memories are coming to my mind.
I didn't even know Doom was on Super Nintendo until just recently. It had the red cartridge, right?
It did. Yep.
How did a first-person shooter work on Super Nintendo?
Just the way it sounds. I mean, good thing it was Doom because the movement is weird as it is, but yeah, it was the way you think it would be on a Super Nintendo. That's how it ran. I always recommend trying it because it's always funny just to see, especially because they couldn't put everything in the game because obviously the cartridge and everything like that. But I thought the music was fine in it. It had the Super Nintendo charm for the music, but yeah, it was good.
My main question is with the controls. Like, I'm assuming the D-pad was move forward and backwards, and was the right and left to turn, or was that to strafe?
That was the strafe. So
was the shoulder buttons to turn?
No, your shoulder buttons were to strafe, and then I think it was Y or B. B was the jump, I believe. Y was, the B was to activate the points, like the points on the wall. Yeah, and then Y, I believe, was to attack or punch or whatever weapon you had at the time. And then I'm trying to remember what A and Y did at the same time. It's been a while.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a shooter. I did just think of one, the Jurassic Park game on Super Nintendo. When you went inside buildings, it went into a first-person mode.
That's a good one too, yeah.
And that one, because there's all the raptors are inside, and I hated going inside because it became like a scary first-person shooter as a little kid. Those inside sections scared the heck out of me. I was scared of Jurassic Park the movie when I was a kid. So.
Oh my goodness!
But
wasn't that scary?
Well, I mean, I love the movie now, but as a kid, the dinosaurs scared me because they were so real. But Carl, what about you? Do you remember what your first shooter was?
My first shooter I remember playing was at, I think, a cousin's house, and it was a game by the name of Revolution X. Do you know what that is?
I've heard that name, but I don't know anything other than I've heard the name Revolution X.
Jason seems to know what it is. Do you know what it is?
Oh, absolutely. So I didn't put any of those on my list because I really wanted to put like light gun shooters on mine. So it was okay for everybody else, but yes, Revolution X, the Aerosmith shooter game, where music is the weapon and you fire CDs. Absolutely, I know a tired game you're talking about.
Aerosmith music game.
Yes, it's one of those very interesting crossover games that just came out of nowhere, and I just remember playing it as a kid at my cousin's house, and it was the only one on, and it's just like Ragdoll's, like the song that constantly loops, just the instrumental parts of it. And it's so stupid and so bad, but that is like the first time I can actually remember playing one. A shooter was probably like the first one, and then GoldenEye would have to be a close second.
Okay.
And then the fun fact too is the person who played Sonya in Mortal Kombat 3 is the person who played Helga in Revolution X, and she is a very nice person if you ever get a chance to meet her.
Yeah.
Sweet. And what about you, Lowest Expectations? Do you remember what your first shooter was?
No, but I think it was Descent for the PC.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of that?
I'd always wanted to play. Like a couple of my friends had that game, and I always wanted to play it. I never got a chance, but on James one of his Steam roulettes a couple months ago, I don't know if he played it or a similar game or a game with a similar name came up, but I was like, it totally reminded me that that game even existed. So I looked it up, and there are other games that are like that on Steam. And because I was like, what even genre is that? Apparently, it's 6DOF, which is 6 Degrees of Freedom. And I actually bought a game that plays just like that on Steam. I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to playing it because I always thought that was a cool game.
Yeah, this is what it looks like here, and it's super hard. It's like really hard to control it.
I bet.
That's the main thing I remember. And then somehow we got a different PC, or that PC crashed and we lost it. So
bummer.
I was never able to beat it.
Okay. So, and catch up a little bit more on chat before we get started. And I just realized this is the first time it just dawned on me that Restream is pulling in the Rumble chat. I don't need to open it up in a separate window. So bravo, Restream.
Hey, they're listening to us.
You did good. So, because normally it'll when with the integration that they added a couple months ago, you could then stream to, you could already stream to Rumble through RTMP, but it wouldn't grab any of your settings or like your name or anything. So when they added the integration, it would pull like the stream name and stuff, but not chat. So I'd have to open that in a separate window. But now it's got the chat integrated as well, so don't have to open a separate window to see the Rumble chat. So, and October Mike is saying, what a great way to end the month of love. From love to violence. Yes. And Sad Lad Chat is saying Perfect Dark, excellent game. Was probably his first shooter. And October Mike saying Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but I never owned it. It was more like visiting cousins, but that was a very popular one. And Dude is saying his first shooter as a kid was also Revolution X on the SNES. Interesting. And he made the achievement list on Retro Achievement for Revolution X. I had never even heard of it, so I will have to check that out. Revolution X. So, right.
Do you like Aerosmith?
I don't dislike them. I like a lot of their music, but I did not even know this game existed.
That's true. What's your top 5 Aerosmith songs? Let's go.
Oh, I don't even know if I'll tell you my favorite one is Dude Looks Like a Lady.
There's so many easy jokes I could make right now. So many.
Too I would easy. Have to look through the list of the rest of their songs to figure out what my top 5 would be. But that one's definitely my favorite.
No problem.
So
Train Kept a Rollin' is definitely my favorite.
That's a good one from Rock Band too.
Yeah, that was on.
It was on Rock Band 1, I think, and Guitar Hero Aerosmith.
Train kept a rolling.
It was Guitar Hero Aerosmith. Yep. That song was there was an achievement specifically in that song, and that was the only achievement I couldn't get in that game because you had to get like a really high score on it, and so you had to play it on expert and be almost perfect. There was a solo towards the end. It's like I could never keep my score multiplier up, so I could never quite make it to the score I needed.
It's the hardest song in Guitar Hero Aerosmith, if I remember correctly, too.
Yes.
I actually never played it, but I was a big fan of the series at the time, so I knew when I saw that was the hardest song in the game and that it was also on Rock Band, I'm like, I don't need to buy
it. And Dude is asking, isn't Train Kept a Rollin' a cover from some other?
Yes.
If it is, I did not know that. I thought it was an Aerosmith original. So
no, it's covering an older song.
Yeah, like the House of a Rising Sun and that. There's a lot of old covers that a lot of bands from the 80s did.
Yeah, I love the Aerosmith version so much. It's still my favorite Aerosmith song.
Yeah, you know what I didn't know was a cover for the longest time, Hurt by Johnny Cash. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I don't think I knew that Land of the Rising Sun was a cover, but I've heard it plenty of times because Five Finger Death Punch did a cover of it, and it's pretty good.
You just really made Fernando wince somewhere.
Why?
He hates Five Finger Death Punch with a passion.
What? I freaking love Five Finger Death Punch. One of my favorite bands. I love them so much.
So here's some lore to it. Over here in Illinois, we got this rock station called 95 Will Rock, which stands for Wisconsin, Illinois. And they would play Jekyll and Hyde constantly.
I like that song, but it's not one of my favorites of theirs.
That's what they would play like on a loop for like ever one summer, and it drove Fernando insane.
Hey, thank you. Dude's there with me. He loves Five Finger Death Punch as well. So, oh, and he's saying "Hurt" was originally a Nine Inch Nails song. Okay,
Yes.
I do not like Nine Inch Nails. So, but all right, with that, we'll go ahead and get into our not topics, but our number fives for tonight.
Are we allowing light gun shooters for this list? Because if it is, my list just got thrown off so far.
I had not even considered light gun shooters, but it is first person and it's a shooter, so I would say it definitely counts.
It's that shooter. Light gun shooter has shooter in it.
Yeah, no. It was a very complex that we were saying. That was my fault. So yeah, this is going to be the first top five I'm doing that I'm just going to be doing off the top of my head.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Oh, so explain to me what list you did make.
So I just did first person and third person. So like with the controller.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you wanted to include first and or light gun shooters, but didn't.
I did before, but I didn't think it qualified.
Ah, okay.
So now, I mean, there'll be some of this on here, but now I'm going to be making a list while we're doing all this stuff. So, yeah, this is going to be.
It is customary for you to go first, but if you want, since that kind of threw you off your game, you don't have to start this one if you don't want to. So you give you some more time to figure it out.
I'm going to take the challenge. We're going with this.
All right, Jason, kick us off with your number five off the top of your head.
All right, I'm gonna keep it what I have written down here, just because the memory of it is like my first time really bringing a computer to like friend's house and actually having LAN parties. And this was the first game that I had to learn that, oh crap, you need to mess with graphics cards in computers, or I need to make my own computer and all that kind of stuff. But the game's gonna be Battlefield 2. Yeah, that game I had so much that to me was my LAN party game. So anytime we were like, I'd bring my monitor over, and I mean not the nice monitors that we have now, but gigantic big CRT computer monitors, computer, everything like that. I would look into how to do the nice little cheap thing where you could take a nice little marker from anything, you could put it on the middle of your, like where you see your reticles are, you can put like a little dot there. And if you wanted to, you never had to look down because you could just match the little mark with anybody there. And next, it had like, it would be a cheat that way, but you're not really cheating. But yeah, I mean, you could choose whatever type of class you want to do. If you want to be a medic, you could do that. If you want to be my brother, which my brother was super good at this game, he would fly jets all the time. I mean, there was so much to do in this gigantic world, and it was just a lot of fun to play.
Okay.
Very nice.
So it sounds like you played it mostly on PC then?
This was only on PC.
Because, I looked it up because I was like, what generation, if you were playing it on console, what generation would it be? And it looked like it was on Xbox and 360, but Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, is that a different game?
That's a different game, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one I played a lot on the console.
Yeah, this is just plain old Battlefield 2
footage.
Yeah,
it is. No, it definitely is.
Okay.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's why I saw the reticle thing. I'm like, yep, I had a little highlighter dot right in the middle of that, and I saw the map and I'm like, yep, this is exactly what it is.
So, how many players was this? Was this one of those 64 player ones?
It was.
Nice. I always thought that was a cool concept, but I never played anything that was like, probably the biggest multiplayer I've done was probably like Big Team Battle and some Halo. I don't even remember which one.
Oh yeah. When you get 32 on 32, and like when you're exactly with your friends doing LAN parties, and then you're connected with them, joining the same maps, and you're just screaming from one room to room to go into the certain location there, and just clearing it out, and just kind of just going from there, and you actually have a group of people doing their job. Nothing better than that.
Yeah, something lost about calling your friends slurs from inside the house.
That probably would be a lot of fun. I definitely missed out on this type of large team game.
And again, this was the first time that I again, the biggest thing on it is like, I love the game, but this is where I finally learned like, oh crap, this is what computers are. It's not just like a console where you just put a game in, it plays. You put it in, it's like it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Oh, you need to read requirements. Okay, cool. And then next you know it, you're tearing apart, your parents' computer that they got, and you're putting things in it, and now it's yours in a way.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played anything in the Battlefield franchise, but I know it was popular. It's kind of gone downhill because I heard 2042 was the 2049, right? What was the most recent one?
2042.
2042. Okay. Yeah, I heard
because
that one.
they made
wasn't
an
very
older.
good.
They made an older 2042 after this one as well back then, and it was the same game but just more futuristic style stuff. And it still wasn't the greatest either, so it's kind of
that was
twice.
That was PC only, that one too, right?
It was.
Yeah, I remember it because I think it was like 2099 or something, wasn't it? Or was it still 2042?
I believe. See, I think it was 2042, but it could have been 2099. I always forget because each number comes out. I'm like, wait, isn't it the same game?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I also thought that it was kind of too futuristic for 2042.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 2142?
Yes.
There you go.
No, it came out in 2006.
So they just added an extra one to make it even more futuristic. Got it.
They jumped it ahead 100 years from the previous one. So, okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I probably would have had a lot of fun playing with a bunch of people back in the day. But yeah, I missed out. So, and Satellite Chat saying no particular order, but Halo 3 is number one for him. Definitely a good game. And dude saying, I think Neo's only rule was that it couldn't be Gradius or Xevious. I have not played either of those, but those are shoot 'em ups, right?
Yeah, shmups, yeah. And dude, funny part is I'm the one who made the rule, so I'm the one who screwed up both times. So yeah, I'm the one who put the requirements on it, not even thinking.
But yeah, the reason why we said first or third person because we did want to rule out things like shoot 'em ups.
Right.
Because if we were going to, we'd probably do that as its own list.
Yep.
So, all right, Carl. What about you? What is your number 5?
1 second. Had to check something real quick. My number 5. I know this will probably get all the brain rot boys online upset, but it's still really good. And well, it used to be really good for me. I was obsessed with it. And Overwatch is my number 5 shooter of all time.
Oh, okay.
And what can I say about Overwatch? It was just fun, just pure straight up fun. When it first came out, I watched my buddy play it on PC, and then I tried it out on console, and then I became hooked on it. After that, I would go out and get all the statues, the Funko Pops. I was obsessed with it. I even went to that infamous BlizzCon of Do You Not Have Phones, and I was super excited to see the new hero release and everything. The shooting mechanics in that game were just great. The powers and everything were just really fun to do. And I just loved all the different support types that they had. I usually made my bread and butter playing as a support class. So I was more of a Mercy kind of person. And then Brigitte came along and everything. But it was just more enjoyable, especially when you could just have like those random teams of like 5 tanks just charging around and just... I've had a lot of good memories with it with my friends. Just a lot of good laughs and a lot of good... just fun, just pure fun. I know that a lot of people don't like the changes that they made with it. Even I stopped playing it with it.
That was what I was going to ask.
But like I said, I'd be also lying to say that I never did enjoy it as much as I did. I feel like this list was probably the easiest top 5 list I ever had to do.
Okay.
So it just felt like Overwatch was pretty good at number 5 because it's mostly off of its past success. And for a very good reason. It was just really damn fun.
So, because you can't play it in its original form anymore, right? Because it was replaced with Overwatch 2?
Yeah. And sometimes they bring it back and they're doing some more experimentation and stuff. The thing about it is this game was really huge into like the esports scene. And I think a lot of once it went to like full on esports kind of mode, it definitely did ruin a lot of the fun of this game.
It happens to a lot of games, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's like the like real big thing about like this game was like huge in like the esports scene. And like they would always have like the world championships at BlizzCon and everything else like that. I just think it happens when something becomes super popular and they try to do everything at once and it's controlled by Activision Blizzard, so on and so forth. Like, it happens, but I cannot say for that run. I want to say from, I think 2016 was when this game came out.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so from like 2016 to about 2020, I think that's a pretty damn good run for a game, like that I played.
Yeah, this is the time because I don't play as much shooters as I used to back then because my brother, this would have been like, I asked my brother if he wanted to be on the show because like he was, I think he was 12 or 14 at the time. Not when this came out, but like he's a big Counter-Strike guy and he was almost about to go pro, but he was too young at the time. Team wanted him that bad because he's that good at shooters. Yeah. So he would use me as practice and bait and all that kind of stuff, as I like to call it. So I would play on his team or play against and just do random stuff. And I only know this around that time because I played a lot of Symmetria in Overwatch. And this was around that time where I played a lot of shooters and everything like that because having to try to get good just at anything with the mouse and clicking kind of stuff like that, just to compete with him, I would always, play that at least and have a lot of fun with this game too. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So from what I hear, because I never played it, Overwatch 2 is not as good.
I still think it's, to me, as a person that only played it for fun, I still think it's fine and the same. It's just the same kind of game mode that you play over and over again. So, I mean, it's been out for so long. So, like, map fatigue and gameplay fatigue kind of sets in a way. But if you have friends to jump in a game with, like, if you have a full squad and you jump into it, it's a lot of fun. But if you're playing with randoms, it's the same game over and over again.
The thing is, like, this is definitely one of those games where it's fun if you have like a squad. And I know a decent amount of people that still play it, and it's free to play now. But there's just all that behind the scenes drama. It's not the same team. A lot of promises weren't kept. Obviously, the controversies with ABK, and then on top of the stuff that. The joke is, ABK messed up. Quick, say one of the characters is gay, and then we'll kind of take the pressure off of our latest real scandal,
Yeah.
So that's just really what it is. It's more so like there's a lot of negativity around it. I think it still has a really healthy player base, from all accounts. If you don't look at like the Steam numbers only, it never seems to have an issue. Then they added, I think, crossplay to it as well.
I was just going to say, I'm assuming it has crossplay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, it's still a very, mechanically well-sounded shooter. There were so many clones, or this was a clone off of another one. I just think this is like the best case of that. Even Marvel Rivals is essentially an Overwatch clone too,
Yep, I was just going to ask you if you played Rivals, and if you have, what you thought about it.
I don't play. I don't try to make it a mission to play Ching Chong Slop, as I say.
All right. That answers that. So, and yeah, Sadlat Chad says, boo! I'm assuming that's to your Overwatch pick.
It's fine.
It says, yeah, 2016, I played the hell out of it the first year. So, all right. Yeah, I know it was very popular. I had a coworker at the time. He, like, the only thing he ever could talk about was Overwatch because he freaking loved the game.
I did too. Like I said, I bought the statues. I loved to get the skins and all that stuff. I just had a lot of fun with it,
Awesome. So, all right.
At least the characters are still popular in some parts of the internet.
Yep.
So, lowest expectations. What about you? What is your number 5 your number 5 favorite shooter?
My number 5 is actually Halo 2.
Halo 2. All right.
So for me, I'm actually not a big shooter player at all. For Halo 2, I actually had to get peer pressured into playing it when I was younger by my friends in school. And
it worked.
It worked. And now it's one of my favorite shooters.
You pulled up James playing it.
So, yep. So we had an original Xbox. We never had a 360, so I didn't get to play any of the ones after that.
Oh.
But maybe someday. But this one...
I'm assuming you played Halo 1.
I did, and I actually didn't care for it at the time.
Okay.
It wasn't until I started playing this one and we started playing multiplayer a lot. and I actually started to get better at it and not just suck constantly. That's when it started getting more fun.
Yeah. When you start getting good at it, it definitely gets more fun.
Yeah. But eventually I was able to get good enough at it to beat it on Legendary.
Yeah, and Halo 2 is definitely the hardest one.
Yes.
It was brutal. It took so many retries. Just hours and hours of dying over and over again.
Space
Especially-
Vietnam, as I call it.
Yeah, especially on Sniper Jackal Alley.
Yeah. Yeah, you get shot in the foot once and you're dead.
Yeah, that was
great.
That was stupid. But did you play it online at all, or did you just do like LAN parties?
Just LAN parties, because
Okay.
we had dial up all the way until 2008.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I didn't have Xbox Live until the 360, so I never played Halo 2 online. But we played a heck of a lot of Halo before, Halo 1 and 2 via System Link. That was some good times.
yeah, the System Link thing like blew my mind back in the day too. It was, I think, what was the Xbox was like? Could you do it with the PS2 as well?
I don't know about that because I never owned a PlayStation. So
No,
Jason might know.
no, PS2. It eventually get like the Ethernet adapter thing, but I don't remember a system link with it.
Okay. Yeah, so because I wasn't much of a PC gamer, like we had a few games here and there, like the Descent game. And then I eventually got into like Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff. But I was mostly a console gamer, so the System Link thing was like mind blowing at the time.
Yeah.
And we had like parties of, I think the most we had was like 10 to 12 people going at once.
Okay. Yeah, the
And,
max
yeah,
was
that was-
16. That was fun if we had enough to do 16. We didn't get 16 very often, but okay, we regularly had between like 8 to 12, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So
You know, all I remember is back when like Halo and everything. It's like if you wanted a PlayStation, you wanted more of like this at the time. The more of the sports, the traditional games is what we like to call it. But if you had an Xbox, which again that was my brother's system, that was the home of the shooters. Was the Xbox? Is what I remember. So
Mhm.
Yep. So, and October Mike saying everything is a clone of Team Fortress 2. Said Chad saying Marvel Rivals is the best Ching Chong slop ever made. I love it. No shame. And Steve is here saying, "What's up, nerds? What's up, Steve?" Oh, and Dude is saying now do it in Lasso. Yeah, because Halo 2 wasn't hard enough. Then go play it on Lasso if you're a masochist or a completionist on Master Chief Collection.
I've heard of that. No thanks.
So for anyone who's uninitiated, Lasso is LASO, which is short for Legendary All Skulls On. And it makes it incredibly difficult because the skulls make it more difficult, not easier. Things like you pick up half ammo, or the only way to get your health back is to melee enemies and removes your entire HUD. And the Iron Skull, which means if anybody dies, you go back to the last checkpoint. Whereas, although that was on by default in Halo 2, all the other Halos, if someone dies, the other person can still keep fighting if they make it through the engagement, and then the other person will respawn. In Halo 2, just on Legendary, you don't have to have any skulls on. If one person dies, then you automatically go back to the last checkpoint. So
I did have a favorite skull. It was the Sputnik one.
Sputnik.
That's
Which
the
one
one.
was that one?
That's the one that made things. If you get hit by an explosion, they go sent flying like 10 times farther than normal.
That's right. That is a fun one.
Which technically does make it harder because then their weapons will go flying too, and you can't pick up ammo or anything.
And you got to make sure you're very far away from grenades when they explode.
Yes.
I don't remember which one it was introduced, but my favorite is Grunt Birthday Party. I love the sound, and it makes it easier to know when you killed the grunt or not. So, well, good pick. So, for me, my top 5. So Carl said this was his easiest one. I wouldn't say this was my hardest one. It'd probably right in the middle, but I basically made a list of like shooters that I love, and it was like 20 long. So I had to narrow that down to like 10, and then that down to 5. And when I got down to 5, I was like, I need to squeeze 6 into these 5 slots. So I made and one of the other things I was asked behind the scenes is like, can we pick a franchise, or does it have to be a specific game? Or like, no, it's got to be a specific game. But for myself, in order to make things a little more interesting and make it a little bit easier to make my list, there's some games on here that are shooters, but they're also a hybrid of another genre. And so I was like, you know what? I'm picking things that are just solely shooters because otherwise everyone will automatically know what my number one is. So to make things spice it up a little bit more, then that would obviously be Mass Effect. Mass Effect I put off this list because it is a RPG more so than it's a shooter. So I did like just straight shooters. So that helped to narrow it down a little bit more and move some of the ones that would have been on my list off my list. But I'll mention some of the ones that got moved in my honorable mention. So, but with that, my number 5 was someone mentioned it in chat. I think it was Sad Lad Chad, but was the spiritual successor to the game I mentioned when we were talking about our first shooters. And I mention this game all the time. It's right there, still plugged into my N64, and that is Perfect Dark. GoldenEye was great, and I loved the heck out of it, but I hate that Perfect Dark never really got its proper due because it took everything GoldenEye did and did it better. Someone's like, no, GoldenEye's music was better. And when we did our soundtrack episode, which I think was episode 10, I went back and I listened to both GoldenEye's and Perfect Dark soundtrack. And I listened to GoldenEye soundtrack. I'm like, they might be right. This music is freaking fire. And then I listened to Perfect Dark soundtrack and I was like, this music is phenomenal as well. So I put them at least on par. So that'd be the one aspect I would say that GoldenEye is at least on par with Perfect Dark. But in every other regard, in my opinion, Perfect Dark took it an extra step. I love this game. I played the bejesus out of this game. And one of my favorite features about it is that every gun in the game has a secondary function, and some of them even have a tertiary function, which it's because of Perfect Dark I learned the word tertiary. And as we talked about on our last episode of Top 5 waifus, I think Joanna Dark was on there as well. I think she was my number 5. So my first video game crush, which was one of the things we talked about, I think on the first episode of Party Chat. But yeah, I loved this game so much. Had just a crap load of interesting guns with cool features. And I had a revelation yesterday about this game or was it yesterday? It might have been this weekend. Someone was talking about the movie Eraser. And they're like, is that movie any good? And I was in chat and I was like, I freaking love Eraser. That's a great movie. Well, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun action movie with Arnold. And it dawned on me that if you've seen the movie Eraser, there's a gun that is part of the plot line. It's like this super high-tech gun. And I was like, oh my God, the gun from Eraser is the XR20 Farsight from Perfect Dark. And I just realized that like a couple days ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I never realized it." So, for anyone who doesn't know, the XR20 Farsight is literally the cheapest, cheatingest gun ever designed in all of video games. It is a alien sniper rifle, and it can shoot through walls, and it also can see through walls. And the secondary function, which there's no reason to use the primary function because it's not like you ever have to unlock it. All the guns have all their functions as soon as you pick it up. So there's no reason to just leave it on its primary function. You always automatically set it to its secondary function, which is auto target tracking. So you just hold the right trigger, or not right trigger because we didn't have right trigger back then. You hold the R button, which is the manual aim button, and it'll automatically search through walls to find you targets, and you just have to move the cursor and hit shoot, and it's a one-hit kill on almost anything. The only thing you don't kill in one hit is something with a shield. That takes 2 hits. But it's got a great sound. You can literally, it's so overpowered, you don't get it in like any levels. There are of course the cheats that unlock all guns, and you can just start out at the beginning of the level, search through the whole level, and kill everything just from where you spawn, and then go through the level. But it's one of the greatest, cheapest, funnest guns ever designed, and it's just got a huge list of cool, interesting guns. And I love Elvis, who's the alien in the game. He's basically the odd job of Perfect Dark. And yes, I was that guy. I always played Odd Job, and I always played Elvis in Perfect Dark. So sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I love Perfect Dark so much, and I absolutely had to put it on my top 5 list. So yeah, Sad Lad Chad saying, I thought it was Perfect Dark. You were correct. But remembering now, he's saying, I think one of his games, he thought it was Perfect Dark, but it was the Rainbow Six on N64. I never played Rainbow Six on N64. Steve's got a good one. His number 5 is the original Unreal Tournament. That is a good one. I I just realized I have an honorable mention to add.
I can say now I have Unreal Tournament 2003 on mine. Again, that was the same time around Battlefield 2, so that was another big one that was played a lot.
So, but yeah, Unreal Tournament. I love the Unreal Tournament games. I never played them online. I didn't have the guts to. I just played them against bots, but I had a lot of fun doing that. So, and T-Man is here. What's up, T-Man? Good to see you again. Saying my favorite shooter is the one in my pants. Had to make the joke. Feel free to bonk me. Bonk. So, all right. Well, that unless Carl or Lois have anything to say about Perfect Dark, I appreciate Lois you bringing up the demonstrations for us. I love it.
That's really nice.
My mom played Perfect Dark. I didn't.
Your mom played Perfect Dark.
Yep.
That's cool. Oh,
She also played Halo 2.
That's awesome. My parents didn't even know how to hold a controller correctly. So,
Yep.
And I'm an only child, so I didn't have any siblings to play against either. So, but I talked about Perfect Dark on the last episode of Party Chat last week as well, because we talked about our first M-rated game, and Perfect Dark was my first M-rated game. So, Carl, do you ever play Perfect Dark?
Just the 360 version.
Oh, what? Because they did re-release the original Perfect Dark as an Xbox Live Arcade game, or are you
Just
talking
the
about Perfect
360
Dark Zero?
version. Just the 360 version.
That
Just the I can't remember what the subtitle is, but yeah, not
Zero.
Thank you, 0
Zero.
hour. Yeah.
Perfect Dark Zero was the sequel, which is actually a prequel, which is a launch title for the 360.
It's the only one I played.
Okay, that's why, because they released the original one on Xbox 360.
I never
arcade.
played the original. Let's just
Okay.
save you some time.
That's what I was trying to clarify, because you're like, the one on 360. It's like, well, they're both on 360.
You should have known.
Read my mind, dang it.
It's not even reading my mind. It's just a normal person who'd been like, oh, that one, the shitty one.
It wasn't that bad. That's another one that I'm a defender of, because
It
it
was-
wasn't as bad as everyone said it was.
It was painfully mediocre.
I will give you that.
I had a fun
What's wrong with
steelbook,
those
though.
kind of games?
I still liked it. And it's the oldest, not the oldest game on my gamer tag, but it's the oldest game on my gamer tag that I still have not completed, because the Dark Agent is incredibly difficult. So I still have like 4 or 5 achievements left on it. So if I ever
So-
complete it, it'll be my longest completion ever. Like,
So what
20
you're
years.
saying is that you're a coward. Got it.
I've tried and I gave up on it. It was too hard.
So you're a quitter. That's even worse than a coward.
I may go back to it at some point and finish it off. We shall see.
If a game's that difficult and it's a game that you love and it's meant to be that difficult without anything, like I would just keep the memories of it, liking it.
Yeah. So, all right. We will get into our number 4s.
Number 4.
Number 4.
We need more production here.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on that for a number 4 and have like or number 5 or whatever. One per one. I'm working on it. So
Yeah.
we'll have one
I think-
eventually.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but I'm like, what's really nice about it? Because again, when we get them, it's gonna be fine. But like the best thing about having how simple this was and is it's just a conversation with friends talking about their top 5. So I mean, yes, production is gonna come in nicely eventually, but yeah, I still like the simplicity of it. So as of now, but I get really tired of stuff and things need to change. So that will eventually happen. Like, hey, we need to do this now. I'll probably get to Neo eventually on that.
Gotcha.
So, Carl, you want to kick us off with number 4s?
My number 4 is actually experimental type of shooter, I would say, at least, because it classifies as a shooter, but it's also not a shooter. And this one I actually really do enjoy a lot. It's called Super Hot. Have you guys ever played
Oh.
Super Hot?
Yes, I
I've heard of
haven't
it.
played it, but I absolutely know. I've seen it. I know exactly how the game plays. I've been very interested in it. I just haven't played it.
It's basically the small premise of it. It's a puzzle game by trying to figure out how to kill everyone properly and avoid bullets as well.
And
So-
the key gimmick is that time only moves when you move.
Exactly. So like that's like one of the big reasons why I like this game too, because it is technically a shooter, but it's more than just a shooter. It's basically a nice murder puzzle. And for a lot of people who know me, like one of my big things I loved about Doom Eternal was that I call it a murder puzzle kind of game, and this is
Yes.
the definition of a super murder puzzle.
Yeah, I've been very interested in this game, but I have not played it yet. Very well may at some point. I know it had a sequel as well. Did you play the sequel?
No, I didn't play the sequel. I think it was more of like an expansion, if I recall, more than like a true sequel. But I don't really know. I just played this one a lot, and then I kept getting like owned on one puzzle for the longest time. I've been wanting to kind of go back to it like later this year to check it out because I know it was on Game Pass, and I think it might have been a PlayStation game or something if you had online for a month or so. I can't really remember all the details, but it's still pretty damn fun.
Another thing that I know I would love to give a shot if I have ever got the chance, but it does have VR. Have you played it in VR?
No, VR makes me sick, so I can't play this stuff in VR.
That's what I thought. I think I remember you talking about VR recently, and you're like, I can't do VR. But I would love to try this in VR as well. That'd be fun.
Yeah, so I highly recommend check this out. This game is not that expensive. It's not a true shooter, kind of like what I was thinking about, because I was thinking about all the other games, like third person, first person. Technically, there are games that are more RPG or action adventures that count as shooters. And I try to focus on games that mostly focus on just like shooting is the main aspect of that game. No RPG systems or anything like that. This is the only one that I picked that was kind of like bucking that trend because it's so unique and so interesting and just, so fun. Like, I feel like this game is really well known, but at the same time, I feel like it's also underappreciated. There you go.
I agree. Yeah, like I said, I did the same thing. I kind of moved all my ones that were on my list off so that I could just focus on just straight up shooters. But if you really love it, then I definitely see making an exception for it. So, yeah,
and
super hot. Oh, go ahead.
It's probably the only game on my list that is almost exclusively single player only too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no multiplayer in this one. So, yeah, Superhot was on Game Pass, but the sequel, expansion, whatever you want to call it, which is called Mind Control Delete. I don't know exactly what it is in relation to the first game, but that one is on Game Pass currently.
So there you go. If you have Game Pass, check it out.
So I don't know what the difference is between the two, but yeah, it definitely looks like a very interesting game. So cool. And yeah, Satellite Chat says, yeah, same. Otherwise, Mass Effect would have been on my list as well. Yep, exactly. I was like, Mass Effect would be on too many of my lists. So I was like, let's make it a little more interesting and focus on just solely shooters. So,
yep, that's what I did.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah, I love Lowest Expectation being our Vanna White here, showing off the games that we're talking about. I love it. So,
oh yeah.
All right, Lois, what is your number 4?
Number 4 is Doom and Doom Eternal. You can more or less put them in the same spot because they're very similar.
Are you talking about original or like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal?
Doom 2016.
Okay.
This is not the right video.
So because of how we do this, yes, they are similar. If you had to choose one to play right now, which one are you choosing to play though?
If I had to pick one, probably Eternal. Yep. Because I liked how much more like movement there was in that game.
Sure.
So
I would probably pick that one, but I like both of them kind of equally.
Yeah.
I feel like
understandable. I love them almost equally as well.
Yeah, and the soundtracks obviously are amazing.
Yes. Even though because Mick Gordon is known for the soundtracks of the Doom games, there was some sort of controversy with Doom Eternal. I don't remember the details of it, but I think if I remember, James could definitely correct me on this because I know he knows all
I think
details.
Yeah, I think they took his music without crediting him or something like that. It was something that they were taking something of his, and
I think what it was is he made the soundtrack for Doom Eternal. And then they let him go before the game came out, and then they remixed it.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly what he made. They made changes to it. I think. Yeah. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was something.
But the skeletons, but the skeletons of the music is still his, but it's not his. It's a mess.
But yeah, either way, the music is freaking awesome, and I am very excited for Doom Dark Ages, which is coming out quite soon, a couple months.
May comes out May.
Yeah, me too. The only problem though is that my PC can't run it. So I'm gonna have to either get one of the consoles or wait until I upgrade my PC. So I probably won't get to play it this year.
One thing that I will give id is they've done a fantastic job of optimization. Doom 2016, they released a bunch of deals because I played both on Xbox, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. And Doom 2016 released a bunch of DLC and basically ended up doubling the file size. It was originally like around 60 gigs, and with all the DLC they added, it bumped it up to like 120. And then they went and remixed it and brought the entire package down back to about 60 gigabytes and includes everything with all the DLC for free. So
That's good.
They did a great job with that. And I've never played it on Switch, but Doom Eternal is on Switch, and I've heard it runs pretty smoothly, which with how fast-paced this game is and how good it looks, I don't know how that's possible, but if they were able to do it, more props to them for being able to optimize that well.
That actually wouldn't surprise me because even on like the base PS4, Xbox One, they run at 60 FPS like constantly throughout the entire game.
Yeah, the Eternal and 2016 were really well optimized, even for the One X.
Yeah, but for Doom: The Dark Ages, it actually requires an RTX card, so I won't be able to play it because I have a 1070.
So, even if you have a powerful enough card that's not a NVIDIA, it won't work? Or is it just saying or equivalent?
I think the minimum specs said it requires a graphics card that can do ray tracing, because the minimum was a 2060 or something like that, and it said underneath it, like in parentheses, requires. Let me pull it up real quick because I think it has the thing on Steam.
Because I'll be playing Dark Ages on Xbox, but I've got a 3050, so I should be able to run it on my PC if I wanted to.
I can run it on my PC or my Xbox. I got a 3070 Ti, but I'm going to be playing it on Xbox. Also, the collector's edition comes with a disc, not a code. So there you go.
Oh, nice! And the statue looks awesome.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. That was my birthday gift to myself.
Nice.
I don't know if that's too small to read on screen, but it says NVIDIA or AMD hardware ray tracing capable GPU with 8 gigs dedicated VRAM or better.
Okay.
Now, I wonder if that has to do. Didn't Bethesda make a deal with our RTX or AMD?
I don't know anything about that.
I thought they did something like that. I don't know.
All I know is NVIDIA did a thing with Sega in the most recent times, but that's all I know.
Sega.
All right. Yeah, excellent.
So yeah,
good pick.
Yeah, both of those games are really good. The only reason they would probably be higher on my list if I played them on PC and not on PS4.
Okay.
Because even though they run flawlessly, playing them with a controller is still kind of ass. I really would love to play it again with keyboard and mouse, but I'd have to rebuy them.
On a standard controller, I would agree with you. I've got the Elite controller, and it was almost strictly for Doom because of how fast paced that game is. Having the paddle so you can push all the face buttons without taking your thumbs off the joystick is a game changer for Doom. So that was the first game I played once I got paddles, and it took me a while to get used to it. But now I'll play it even if I don't use them. I play everything with the paddles, and I'll try to use them if it's something that probably the main thing I'll do on a lot of games is if there's a game that's push A to run, which is basically all the Assassin's Creed or Arkham games, I'll map that to a paddle so I can run without move my camera without having to take my thumb off the joystick. But yeah, being able to push all of your face buttons without taking your thumbs off the joystick for Doom is a game changer because of how fast paced that game is.
Yeah, Sad Lad Chad in the chat says, I don't think I could play a shooter on controller anymore. And I'm starting to feel the same way after I played my number 2 and number 3 on the list.
Okay. Yeah, no, I am with Neil. For any shooter, I use my buttons on the back of my PS4 controller.
Yeah. I would
Those are
if
so
we
nice.
didn't have paddle controllers now, I would agree with that.
Mhm.
On a party chat way back, I was talking about when I played Ghost Runner, and Mark was kind of blown away that I beat it on Xbox with a controller. He's like, "Wait, you beat it with a controller?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got the paddles on an Elite controller, but yes, I did it with a controller." And the paddles in that game are also almost essential because of how fast paced that game is as well.
Oh no,
I still need
I
to
never
play
have an
those.
issue with that. To be honest, I guess it's just because I'm a controller guy. I've never liked mouse and keyboard as much, unless it's for RTS. Then yeah.
Yeah, I will play everything with a controller unless it's something like you need a mouse and keyboard for. Like, I don't do RTSs, but like a game like an RTS for me, like the number one example of like a game that I would have to use the mouse and keyboard because you can't really do it with a controller is Satisfactory. It doesn't even have controller support because you basically it's like an RTS where every button has a function, so you can't. It'd be very difficult to. Although I've heard we talked about this on open mic last week. I've heard rumors that they are trying to bring it to console. How they would bring all of those functions to a controller, I have no idea.
Which
but
game?
I've heard a rumor. Satisfactory.
Okay.
I've heard that they're trying to bring it to console.
I probably just hotkey and map it.
Yeah. So my guess would be a lot of functions would have to be like radial wheel sort of thing where you hit like the bumper and it brings up like a, like a wheel of all the different functions or something. That's the only way I could see how you could do it because there's so many. It's like an RTS. There's so many different shortcuts and stuff. So
Yeah, I don't think it would be too bad. It's just like going through all the menus might be kind of a pain.
Lois knows
Like
the
build
he plays
menus.
a ton of Satisfactory.
Yeah, over 500 hours now. Yep.
Wow. It was fun because last time we really talked about it. I still had more hours than you, and I haven't played it since. And now you've got like triple my time.
Yeah. I've kind of put it off for now because lately the stuff that I'm building is starting to make the game stutter a bit because there's just too much stuff.
Too much stuff going on.
So it started to like make me feel like dizzy, and so.
Oh no.
So
yeah.
So Sadlad Chat is saying that follow New Vegas is probably on his list as well. I've heard great things. It is in my backlog. I will be playing it at some point because I've heard everyone's like it's the best Fallout game. So, and October Mike is saying Classic Doom in 2016. Sweet. Sadlad saying that 2016 is more fun to him. I know a lot of people prefer 2016, but they are both great games. And yeah,
16 is fine. I think Doom Eternal is just way better on every aspect.
Yeah, Doom, rip and tear. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The controversy was how they treated him, referring to Mick Gordon. And Dude is saying id Tech engine is a great engine. Yeah, they recently released the development tools for Doom Eternal, and I've fooled around with it a little bit. I have a lot more to do because I basically want, now that it's available, I want to build my game in it. It's going to take a long time. So, but I do really want to do that at some point. So. And Snapple Ryder is here. What's up, Snap? Saying hello to everyone. Good to see you as always. Oh, and October Mike has the collector's edition of Dark Ages pre-ordered as well for PC. Dude is saying the Dark Ages statue is going to look nice next to the Doom 2016 statue. Yes, they will look great together. So, and yeah, Satellite says it couldn't do a controller anymore. Mike says sucky keyboard mouse. Yeah, I just prefer a controller. Mark is a PC elitist. Yes, he is in the strongest sense of the phrase.
Yeah, even so much so that he goes on to PlayStation groups and just talks about PC all day, which I think is weird.
As a PC master racer, I think that's funny.
I think it's fucking pathetic and weird, but that's just me. It's like, oh, I'm going to go in his PlayStation group and talk about PC. It's like, oh, okay.
Wait, does he go to PlayStation specifically because it's PlayStation?
It's like the Colin Moriarty group. I remember it being in.
That makes sense because those PlayStation guys are like absolute fanboys, and he probably does it just to piss them off because it's funny.
I think you're giving him way too much credit, but that's just me.
Maybe, I don't know the guy. So
yeah. And said Les saying, I've been used to mouse and keyboard since 2013. Only use controllers for there are some games that you absolutely have to use a controller because mouse and keyboard doesn't work, and that's like hack and slash action beat 'em ups. So yeah. And he watched a friend play Baldur's Gate 3 on console and it hurt his brain.
Oh god.
Hey, I played Baldur's Gate 3 on my Steam Deck, so I would hurt your brain too then.
And Snapple's played Satisfactory as well, but he's only at 200 hours. Only 200 hours. You got more than me now as well. So, all right. Let's
It's
see
so good.
here. I think I'll go ahead and then let Jason finish off our number 4. So for my number 4 is another game I talk about fairly often. It's a very fast-paced shooter that doesn't get a lot of recognition from Platinum. And I often bring it up when it's games that need a sequel because it got left on a cliffhanger and it's likely we'll never see a sequel. And it is awesome. And you play as Sam Gideon, who works for DARPA, and you go up into a space station that has been overtaken by terrorists that blew up San Francisco. Oh no, how terrible. And that is Vanquish. So, he pulled it up fast. He must have known exactly where I was going with that, didn't you?
As soon as you said Platinum.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this game is so awesome. It definitely needs more love. I will bring it up anytime I can. It is very fast paced. You got this really cool mech suit that you slide around on. It's super fast, and you don't really have a health meter. You basically, the more like sliding around you do, the more your suit will overheat. And if your suit overheats, you go into like the slow motion mode, and that's basically when you're vulnerable and when you can die. But if you are good at managing your heat, which you have to get good at to beat it on the hardest difficulty, and then there's people who are just like insanely good at it. I'm good at it. I'm not great, but I did beat it on our hardest difficulty. But you can basically activate slow motion mode, and it is so freaking cool. I love this game so much. I played both the 360 version and the Xbox One 10th anniversary version. I got to play it in 60 FPS, and I did complete both of them, which is very difficult. Not so much for the campaign. It's some parts can be a little frustrating on the hardest difficulty, but it's not too bad. It's the challenge mode. There's only 6 challenges, but challenges 5 and 6 on the hardest difficulty are ridiculously hard. So for anyone who is able to get the completion in this game and finish those challenges, shout out to you because it is quite insanely difficult. But yeah, this game is freaking awesome, and I just love it so much. There's lots of cool guns. One of the downsides, though, is that you can only hold, is it 2 guns at a time? You basically, I think you have like a sidearm that you can't get rid of, or I think you have I think you have like 3 weapon slots. I forget. It's been a while since I played it. Like you have like a sidearm slot where you can hold like a pistol, and then like 2 like normal slots where you can hold any of the standard like rifles or rocket launchers or grenade launchers or whatnot. But the one kind of odd mechanic is that your guns will get better if you find the gun that you're already using, but the only way that it actually upgrades your gun is if you already have full ammo. So what you kind of want to do is pick up the 2 guns that you want to use basically through the majority of the game and just hold on to them and try to have full ammo as much as possible so that when you pick one up, it instead of refilling your ammo, since your ammo is already full, it'll upgrade the level of your gun. So it does more damage and stuff. So that was an interesting mechanic. But yeah, this is a freaking awesome game. I love it and will recommend it to anyone. And it's a relatively short game. You could probably beat it in a day. It's like a 6 to 8 hour completion of the story. So my buddy Vanquish, I give crap all the time because I'm like, hey, have you played Vanquish yet? He's like, no, because that's his online name is Vanquish. And just recently, I bothered him enough that he sent me a screenshot. He's like, hey, I finally bought it on Steam. It's in my library now. I was like, all right, you're one step closer. He still hasn't played it yet, but every time I see him show up in chat, I'm like, Vanquish, have you played Vanquish yet? Because you need to. But yeah, everyone should play Vanquish because it is an awesome game, and it's not a long one, so you don't have to like worry about it taking up too much of your time. So curious from you guys, have you played Vanquish?
I started playing it, but I've never finished it. I think when I started playing it, I was like, I'm not really feeling this game right now.
Okay. And you fight a lot of really cool giant mechs as well. So, sorry, Lois, you were about to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say this game's been on my 2 playlist for years.
Yeah, I got it on 360.
I put things off habitually, so.
Yeah, I've got some games that
Can relate.
I've been putting off for years as well. But yeah, I bought this one on 360. I don't remember if I bought it like on launch, but I know I bought it when it was pretty new. And then I finally went around and finished off getting the completion just like a year or two ago, and finishing off those challenge modes. And that's when I went back and played through the Xbox One version as well, because I had bought it, but I hadn't actually played it yet. So
I got the
I definitely recommend it.
what did I say? I got the Bayonetta Vanquish Steelbook combo pack. That's
Okay.
what I got.
Nice.
That's the 10th anniversary edition of both of those games. I bought that bundle, but I don't have the a steelbook of them. But just like Vanquish, I have the completion. I played Bayonetta back in the day, got the completion, and then when the 10th anniversary, I bought that bundle that had, because they're both platinum, it came with Vanquish and Bayonetta because they both came out nearly the same time. And I played through Bayonetta again for the first time in like a decade and got the completion again. That's a good game as well, but not a shooter.
Speaking of Bayonetta, side note, if the Switch 2 FPS boost is true, those are the games I'm playing right away.
Nice. I did live Bayonetta, and I haven't played 2 or 3 yet because I just recently got a Switch last year, so I don't have them yet. But I do want to get Bayonetta 2 and 3 and play them. But do they have performance issues on the Switch?
It's an action kind of game, so for me, 30 FPS is I can do it, but I'd rather not. It's not the same.
Yeah, I plan to get a Switch 2 as well, so maybe I'll get Bayonetta 2 and 3 at that point as well.
I'll laugh if there's a rumor saying that it comes out May 22nd, and that's my birthday, so I'll laugh if it is.
That would be great. And Dude is saying, I have the full completion of the 360 version, but he needs to do the PS3 and PS4 and the Xbox One version eventually. So nice. He's got the completion as well. I thought so, because I'm pretty sure Dude and I have talked about it before. But yeah, it's a great game. So I highly recommend it to anyone if you like fast-paced shooters. So it's an awesome game. So that was my number 4. And that will bring us to Jason to finish off our number 4s.
Yeah, my number 4 is something I just added, and that's going to be my favorite Sega shooter, and that is House of the Dead 2.
That's a light gun, right?
That is a light gun, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is the one that I put out of any arcade shooter. There's probably one more that I put the most money into completion and to get decent at it. I was never one of the people that could, one credited or have the 2 guns and beat it that way. But I mean, I was good enough to get at least maybe 1 or 2 credits to the final boss, and then the final boss just steals all your money from there. But yeah, I mean, the music in this game is great. For the time, the graphics were good and cheesy enough. The voice acting, it's well known for that, and how unbelievably bad it is, but how good bad it is. One of those things. I mean, there's so many great lines from this. Just from the first level that you play, you can put in 50 cents or a quarter or wherever it is, and hear the great lines from this game, and they'll be just stuck in your head for the rest of your life. The unfortunate part of the game, I'm hoping that the demo they just released, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember. They're doing the House of the Dead 2 remake for all platforms. And
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, the
How is that
remake.
gonna work?
You just use it's the same way that it worked on like when you got it for the Dreamcast or for the Saturn or back in the stuff that day. You can use a reticle or a mouse and all that stuff. There is a company that does make light guns for monitors and everything like that. So I mean, there is ways to do it. Or even if you play on the Switch has motion controls. So there are ways you can get the light gun experience with it. But I'm hoping that the demo was just rushed out, because the first one was really, really good. The second one was very brown, and the voice acting wasn't as good as it was. As good, bad as it was. They still have some of the same lines, but it's just not great. So I'm hoping that, like I said, I'm hoping that the remake comes out and it's good, and it's just not a rushed demo. But if you get a chance to play the original House of the Dead 2, or even if you play Typing the Dead, because it's the same game, but you're just typing instead, but you're getting at least the same story. It's really fun, and you can see how that crap insane this type of story that they put together actually is.
Yeah, we talked about it on Party Chat one time of like things we like to see come back in the video game industry, and my answer was light gun shooters. I always wanted to play a lot of them. I don't know that I've ever like actually played any of them, but I always wanted to. So I'd love to see a resurgence for light gun shooters.
They're out there. The hardest thing about them is that like their credit, like their quarter munchers and everything like that. So like if you just have all enough credits, then you just beat the game. And then after you're done beating the game, what do you do? So it's one of those times that like if it's a $20 or $30 game that like somebody's just re-releasing or kind of doing something that way, 100%. I would love to see them come back because they're just a lot of fun. But for people that are looking for, you know, if you're going to spend more money to get something, they want more stuff with it. I understand not putting the money into it, but again, there's so many great, you know, light gun shooters that were out in the past that could come back and have new ones. I mean, the House of Dead Scarlet Dawn that got released, I think now 5 or 6 years ago, it might be even longer because it's been a while, but like they still make light gun arcade cabinets that are new, that are still great to this day. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I'm hoping the remake of this is good, but like I said, I can still play this any other possible way. But yeah, no, it's so good.
Yeah, I was never like a zombie, kind of spooky thing, as you know. So House Dead wouldn't have been my pick for light gun shooters. But the one that I probably would have liked the most probably would have been like Time Crisis.
Time Crisis is great too, yeah. Time Crisis was fun just because you actually had the dodge mechanic, and that's how you reloaded as well. So yeah.
So awesome. So hey, Charles Marvel Pierce is here as well, saying GoldenEye N64 top 5 faux show. Well, you missed my number 5 because mine was GoldenEye but better, and that was Perfect Dark. So, but yeah, good to see you, man. Anyone else have anything they want to talk about on House of the Dead 2?
No.
All right. Well, that will bring us to number 3s. So, anybody want to start us off?
Okay, yeah.
What? Who's that? Oh, Lois.
Lois, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So my number 3 is actually one that James played recently called Trepang 2.
Oh, I picked that up recently, but I haven't played it yet.
It is basically a successor to Fear, which I actually haven't played.
Yeah, I played the demo back in the day, but I haven't played the actual game.
Right. Yeah, but now that I've played this, I do want to go back and play Fear 2 because
like Fear, the second one, or just like the Fear games also?
Oh, also, yeah.
Okay, I figured as much because there were 3 Fear games, although I don't know how well received 2 or 3 were.
3 wasn't great. 2 is
But I know a lot of people love the first one.
Yeah, and this is one of those games. It's like Doom and Doom Eternal. It's very well optimized. I was playing it at above 60 FPS on my PC. So you could play this game like on a potato, and it runs so well. It feels so good to play. It's super smooth. You're like this super soldier who's running around and just destroying the crap out of all these like other soldiers, I guess.
Okay.
And because it's like Fear, there's some horror elements to it, which I won't spoil. He keeps pausing the game. It's distracting me.
Yeah, I watched a little bit when he played this a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it looks like a good game. I'm looking forward to playing.
It also had my favorite soundtrack of the year.
Ooh, I haven't heard anything about the music in this game.
For 2023, I believe it's when it came out. Yeah, and it's got a heavy metal kind of thing, kind of like Doom as well. But it's a bit different. It's a bit more like, I was about to say it's a bit more industrial sounding.
Okay.
But Doom is kind of already there. I don't really know what else to say about it. Because I liked it a lot, but I also don't have a lot to compare it to because I'm not really a big shooter guy in general. So I actually struggled with the game quite a lot. I died a lot getting through it. But But yeah, it's super fun, super violent.
I was
super
talking about
metal as fuck.
I was talking about it with someone recently because Tree Pang 2. Was there a Tree Pang 1? Or okay, I didn't think so. But it's like I'm curious why the number 2 is on it if it's not an actual sequel to a Tree Pang 1.
I have
know?
no idea. I have no idea what the name means.
Okay. Yeah. Does that name actually mean anything in game?
Don't know.
No. Okay. Or maybe you're saying that to not spoil the surprise. So yeah, I picked it up recently when it was on sale, and it's in my backlog for when I get to starting a bunch of new games, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing this one. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. And it's also made by like a really small team too, so it's like impressive how well optimized it is, and how like how much bang for your buck you get for it too. Because like if you go through the campaign, it's actually not super long, but they give you a ton of side missions. And I believe they added more since launch too. I don't remember that for sure, but yeah, it's really, really impressive.
Yeah, it looks like a great game. So cool, good pick. So, while we were talking about light gun shooters, dude says that he owns Time Crisis 2 on PS2 with the gun controller, but sadly it only works on CRT TVs. Yeah, I've heard. I don't know why that is, but apparently light guns only work with CRTs unless you have like.
Yeah, you need the back, because when you shoot the gun, it only sees the white light. So that's why when you see a CRT flash with it, it turns off the image. So just all I say is just go to any store that I'm trying to think of it, like oh man, I just had a brain fart. Like any place that has like old electronics, you can get a CRT for like $2. I mean, I still have mine that works for that price, and I do the same thing. So,
well, if I ever decide to get into light gun shooters, maybe I'll have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, Sadlad Chad is agreeing. Fear is great, and he was there for the stream while James was streaming Tree Pang. So, all right, yeah, I don't have much to say because I haven't played it. I just know it by reputation, but I've heard nothing but good things. I'm looking forward to playing it. So,
yeah, I'm interested in soundtrack, because if you said the soundtrack's that good, I'm kind of curious on hearing what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, Jason, were you about to go next?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah, because my number 3 is a it's like an experimental type shooter. Number 3. I mean, you might have already heard about it today, but yeah, it's Super Hot.
I had a feeling.
There we go.
Yeah.
Our first overlap of the night.
Yeah. Super Hot's my number 3. That's why I was quiet when Carl was talking about it, because I was like, "Yep, this game's great." And then when you said anybody play it VR, I was like, "Yep, that's the best way to play it." Moving and being in actual bullet time.
So you played
is pretty
it in VR.
sick. I did, yeah. No,
Nice.
And I think it's better in VR than it is playing it not in VR. I get VR. Like yeah, I get VR sick easily, but for some odd reason, I didn't for this one. And I think that's because of the motion of actually, dodging when you see the bullet come in this way and you're kind of like swaying around it. And when you're actually moving, you see things move with you that quick. But yeah, using the environment as, your weapon as well, where you see like 3 or 4 things coming at you and you're like, cool, I got to shoot, and then dodge this. And you're like, okay, that's not it. Then you're like, oh, there's 4 potted plants in front of me. I got to shoot, grab the potted plant, throw it, shoot, throw the gun at it, pick something else up, kind of do these random motions that you see in action movies, and you're your own action star in VR doing it. You're like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. So, yeah, I know Carl said everything about the game already, but yeah, if you get a chance to play it in VR, do. But if you just get a chance to play it in general, it's by far one of the best shooters you can play.
How accurate is the VR? Like, if like a bullet's coming right at your face, can you kind of like just tilt your head and it'll go by?
Yeah. Because if you watch the footage, you see how like there's the trail and everything like that. Yeah, you just see it coming at you, and you could just dodge your body, see it, and then when you see the trail go by you, or you see the trail next to you, just kind of sway back into it to get away from the person, and then you can look around, and next you know it, there's somebody behind you because it's full 3D and you're like, oh crap, there's somebody behind me too. And now you have to move your head around to see it behind you and do a bunch of things. But yeah, it's fantastic.
So if it
Yeah,
has
it's a
that,
Neo simulator. Neo.
yeah, it definitely sounds like it. I was like, if only I could stop bullets. Yeah, if I do eventually get some way to
Yeah,
play
that's the only thing you
VR,
can't do. But yeah,
I
you.
definitely have to play this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I 100%.
It's since in VR you can kind of like move your arms and your head and stuff. Does that make it easier to dodge stuff, or does it make it harder?
I think harder because you have to, or I don't know actually. I to be honest with you, like for how I've played it in both, I feel it's the same. So I can't say it harder or easier.
So about
Because when you're, yeah, because when you're aiming, you see the weapon already, so like you can already point, the thing at it, or your weapon at them, and then so maybe easier on the aiming spot, but like to pick up the like the potted plants or whatever you're throwing, maybe harder because you actually have to like reach out to grab it with another hand or whatever. But like for the times that I've played them, I feel it's pretty easy both ways. I think it's just the fact and jarring fact that you are in VR and you're actually in this gigantic white room with these red enemies coming at you and they're getting closer and closer. It just kind of not scares you at first, but you're like, oh crap, I'm actually in this world. I think that's the insane part. And then not and always forgetting that like it's not what's in front of you, it's what's in the full 3D thing. Because there's a couple of puzzles I've always failed. I'm like, all right, what's going on? And then I turn around and next to it, there's this red, mannequin like red mannequin fixture just staring at you like, oh, there's something behind me. Oh, got to restart it. But now I know that's there and kind of, going and figuring out the puzzle from that part. Yeah, it's great.
And the level is the same every time, right? Like the amount of like enemies and kind of where they spawn, or is it like randomized?
So no, it's always the same because like that's where the puzzle of it figures out. So you're like, okay, how can I use how many shots I have in this and what I have in front of me to beat this level? And then you go to the next one and then it just changes up on it. But yeah, it's always the same on each level and you just figure out to go from there. And then you kind of like learn what you're doing.
So if they could like randomize it, this game could be like one of those games you literally play forever.
Yes, yeah. If they had randomized, yes, it would be crazy.
And for when you're playing in VR, how does the movement work? Do you have like a joystick on your little hand controllers that you use to move around? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So Christian Frades is hopping in chat. What's up, Christian? Saying Halo 2 is one of his favorites, and that was, yeah, as Lois said in the chat, that was his number 5, and he played Vanquish. Yep, that was my number 4. So good to see you, Christian. We go into TV World. I don't know what you're referring to, Mike. So yeah, you're really making me want to play this, or it just really makes me want to, get a VR setup to play this. But
yeah, I would say if you find it cheap to try it out, just if you like the puzzle aspect of it, because again, it is a puzzle shooter in a way. Try it first, and then if you get a chance, like I said, it's my tied for first favorite VR game. So like, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think because I've never really I played VR for like 5 or 10 minutes. Someone else had one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be fine when it comes. Kind of a lot of people have problems with like getting motion sickness in VR. I think I'd be fine because I'd never get like motion sick, or car sick, or plane sick, or anything. So, or seasick. So I think I'd probably be fine on that aspect. So this really makes me want to play it in VR.
Oh yeah, no, if you can play in VR, that's how I would recommend it.
Okay, cool. So we got our first overlap. So, all right, Carl, you want me to go next, or you want to go next?
You can go next.
All right. So my number 3 is the game that we've been waiting for the sequel to forever. That is never going to happen. And one of those Valve games that can't count to 3. That is Half-Life 2. So this, this is probably like a year ago, or maybe not quite a year ago now, but it was because of Half-Life that I created a Steam account. because it required a Steam account to play back in the day, and so I didn't know what Steam was, but it required it in order to play it. And so I went back and looked because I was talking with Fractured Filter about it, and I think it was James, or might have been you, Carl. I don't remember. It was a while ago, and we were talking about the age of our Steam accounts, and I was like, let me go back and check. And it said like November something 2004, and I'm like, I remember I created this because of Half-Life 2, and I went and checked the release date of Half-Life 2, and they were day and date. They were the same thing. The day I created my Steam account was the day that Half-Life 2 launched, because I was so stoked for this. So I loved Half-Life 1, and because it also had 2 expansions. It had Blue Shift, where you play through the events of Half-Life as Barney, the security guard. I didn't really care for that one that much, but there is Opposing Force. You play through the events as one of the grunts that's sent in to kill Gordon Freeman, and I freaking loved that expansion a lot. But Half-Life was great. I loved it. So I absolutely could not wait for Half-Life 2. And I remember seeing the tech demo that Valve showed off, I don't know, like a year before the game came out, and they showed like all the things that their whatever engine it's built on, I don't remember, could do with like all the lighting effects and all the like water effects and everything. Just the tech demos get me stoked for it. And they really, it was like a game-changing first-person shooter for the time with all the things they did, especially with the physics of the game. It was the invention of the gravity gun is freaking awesome. There's a whole level dedicated to just using the gravity gun, and I talked about that, I think, on Top 5 Spooky Games, maybe as an honorable mention, because that Ravenholm level is freaking freaky. It's like a genre change. You're just playing, like a first-person shooter, and all of a sudden you're in like a Resident Evil horror game for a level. And Dude's coming and saying it was the Source engine. Thank you, Dude. The things that they were able to do with the Source engine at the time were great. I haven't played this game in freaking forever. I am very much looking forward to playing through it and episodes 1 and 2 again for the first time in a very long time. I don't know if I played it since not long after the Orange Box came out. It's been a very long time since I played it, but this is a great game. I love it. All of the interactivity you have with like the things in the environment. There might have been other games that did that before this one, but not that I had played. But yeah, once I get through this, recovering this dive that I'm working on, this playing through the Half-Life 2 and the episode 1 and 2 again will be up there for one of the things that I do first, because I need to play this game again because it's been way too long, and it's great. Oh, one of the other things that was really cool was, again, another game might have done this, but it was the first time I saw it, was the rocket launcher was really cool, because it wasn't just you shoot it and the rocket goes straight, but it's got like a targeting laser on it, so you can aim it at something and the rocket will follow the laser. And if you didn't know it did that, you basically figure it out for yourself. I don't know, midway through the game, where there's these, I don't remember what they're called, but they look like flying manatees, and they're chasing you and shooting you on the highway. You pick up a rocket launcher. If you just shot it, you'd never be able to hit it because it's flying around so much. But then when you figure out you can point the laser at it and the rocket will follow it, so you just got to keep your laser pointed at it, and you got to hit it a few times to blow it up, and then you can continue on your way. Some of the other ingenuitive things they did was the antlion level, where you don't have any guns. You just get these things that look like onions, and you just throw them, and the antlions basically follow your commands. You just have the antlions go and take everything out for you. That level was freaking awesome. Then at the end of the game, you get the super gravity gun, because normally you can only pick up objects and not people, but then you lose all your items, and all you have is a gravity gun. It gets supercharged. The only thing you can do is use it to pick up Combine and throw them all over the place. Such a great game. I love this game so much. And it spawned one of my favorite puzzle games, was the Portal series as well. So I love the franchise, but Half-Life 2 is just such a groundbreaking game for the time. Love this game.
I didn't get a chance to play Alex, but
if I get VR, I'm absolutely playing Alex as well.
My brother said like they could easily just name that Half-Life 3, and people would have been mad because of how long it would have been in a short game, but it easily could have been that. So if you want Half-Life, just play Alex. Yes, it's not the right way to play it, or the way you want to play it, but it's your fix, I guess.
I have been tempted to pick up Half-Life Alex, even though I don't have VR, because I found out not that long ago, a month or two ago, because of Fractured Filter, that there is a no VR mod, so you can play it as a standard first-person shooter. So I was like, I could buy it, play it as it, as it takes the motion mechanics out of the game, so you can still play it. And then if I ever do get VR, then I can play it proper. So I've had that on my wish list, but I haven't picked it up yet. But I'm very tempted to, because I definitely want to play Alex for sure. And I've heard it's a shining example of one of the best VR games. So, and dude saying the Source engine is now more famous for videos than for games because Valve doesn't know how to count to 3. And Paul's here saying howdy, howdy. What's up, Paul? Good to see you tonight, as always, buddy. And Star Wars Marvel Pierce saying that Half-Life 2 is a solid game. Absolutely, yes, it is. And just the Half-Life franchise, just like the mods from the franchise have spawned entire separate franchises. Like, I think that's how Team Fortress started, was a Half-Life mod.
Yep.
So
yeah, I believe like you were talking about like Blue Shift and all that stuff. Like, so you said Blue Shift, I'm like, yeah, I believe Team Fortress was in that pack as well with like Half-Life 1, Blue Shift, Opposing Forces, and I think it was Team Fortress all together in a pack.
Fortress 1, because then there was the orange box that had Half-Life 2, episodes 1 and 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So, you guys got anything you want to mention on Half-Life?
No, great game.
All right. Well, in that case, Carl, go ahead and bring us on home on our number 3s.
My favorite shooter for number 3 is also a Valve game and also suffers from there's no number 3, and that is Left 4 Dead number 2. There you go.
What about Back for Blood?
It was all right. It just didn't. Didn't impress me. What's there to say about Left 4 Dead 2? It was so good that they brought Left 4 Dead 1 into the fold, gave it plenty of DLC and some great mod support. It's just good fun. That's the best way to describe it. It's just like if you're looking for the quintessential party game, Left 4 Dead is just that. You and 3 buddies just going around shooting each other, just being belligerent and silly. This game just captures the perfect antithesis of a co-op shooter. Just get to point A, point B, safe houses, giant over the top zombie mods, giant over the top like special infected. This game is just great. If you haven't played any Left 4 Dead game, why not? What's wrong with you? These games go on sale all the time for like 99 cents.
Yep, I picked up 1 and 2 on Steam for like $1 each because of you and James. Because I played Left 4 Dead 1. I didn't really care for it that much, but I only played it with bots. I've never played it with other people, and I know this would probably be a lot of fun with people. So for me, this is in that Borderlands category where it's boring by yourself, but it'd probably be a lot of fun in co-op with other people.
Oh, it is a blast in co-op, and it's also on the 360, and you can still play and get those achievements there, Neo.
Yeah, that's where I played Left 4 Dead 1 was on 360, but I never bought the DLC, and I never ended up playing 2 because I wasn't a huge fan of it. But if anyone
has friends, that's why.
Yeah, I didn't have friends who are as into gaming as I was. So if anyone has it on 360, I will look at picking it back up and finishing off the achievements on 360 if anyone's open to it.
I would help you do that. I think Dude would too.
Okay. So
yeah, I love this game.
You spend most of your time playing it with other people?
Me and my my one cousin, we were huge fans of it, and I think it had couch co-op, the first one.
I'm pretty sure it did.
And we would just play. I would go to his house sometimes. We'd play couch co-op there, or I got the first one for Christmas, ironically. So all Christmas after we got done with just the rigmarole of the holiday, rush, then we were texting each other. So like, I was like, man, I got Left 4 Dead. Are you ready to go? He's like, it's about time, So that's all we did on Christmas, the year this game came out, and we just played it completely, from start to finish on Christmas Day. So Left 4 Dead's a Christmas game, in my opinion.
All right. And dudes,
yes, both Left 4 Deads are backwards compatible.
Yes, they are. Dude saying that both Left 4 Deads are backwards compatible. At least on 360, you can play them on Xbox One / Series X. And he's saying you better have Shrek as the tank if you're playing on PC. But October, Mike saying Left 4 Dead 2 or 1 still go to game. So yeah, I think, is there really any reason to, if you're gonna only play 1, is there any reason to play 1 over 2? Sounds like everything that was in 1 they put into 2.
It's just for nostalgia purposes, and if you want to get the Steam achievements and stuff. I still like to play Left 4 Dead 1 more than 2. just for nostalgia reasons. But I still love Left 4 Dead 2. I've put in so much hours on both of these games, like it's not even funny.
Hey, look at that. Sad Lad Chad's right there with you, saying it's a Christmas game for him too.
Indeed, it's just pure fun. Like you get like. I want to get some of the statues. They're really cool. Like there's the special infected that's a smoker, and you can hear it coming because it has a smoker's cough, and you just hear the little fun interactions. Them going like smoker or something, and he just grabs you with his tongue. There's the one that's called the hunter, and he just jumps on you, and starts ripping you apart. There's like the witch, which is just
don't disturb the witch.
Don't disturb, and you get an achievement for taking her out in one shot, which is like one of the best ones to do. Obviously, you saw the tank there, which is just a super meat boy, just jacked up, going to town on you. And then Left 4 Dead 2, they introduced like the Charger. I forget what the other one called. I think it was a Leaper, where he just jumps on you and he grabs your head and he pulls you around. I can't really remember the name of that one. And then, of course, there was a Spitter, which I always just made fun of. I was like, yes, because I grew up in this town called Fox Lake. I was like, yes, the Fox Lake woman, where it was just like this really messed up looking woman that just spits acid on you.
What was the one that had the tongue that would try
the smoker.
to? Well, okay, what's smoker? Okay, I'm trying to like which one had the tongue.
Okay, so I pulled it up, and there's the Boomer, Hunter, Smoker, Tank, Charger, Jockey, and Spitter.
Jockey, that's it. I couldn't remember. Jockey. Yeah, the Jockey is the one that would grab you on the head and just pull you around and everything like that. And the best part, too, is that this game is great because you can also have like 4v4 matches. So you could have like you 4 other survivors, and then 4 other people could be like the special infected and everything else like that. Oh yes, and the Boomer. The Boomer is just a giant bloated body that just vomits on you to get zombie hordes after you. And when he blows up, he does the same thing.
Yeah, October, Mike, Sad Lad, Chad, and Dude all came in at the same time. Jockey, Jockey.
Jackal.
Yeah.
Is it a jackal?
Is it jackal? No, it's not a jackal. If it wasn't a jackal the first time. I quote that one often too. Jackal.
I like how you say like this was like your Christmas games and everything. For me, this was a college game. So I always remember just the one roommate that would always, think it's funny to be loud by the witch, and we all scream from our respective, rooms in our apartment, yelling at that person, then not do it, and then they do it, and then we're all just ticked off at that person.
And Sad Lad Chad saying that the Warhammer Vermintide and Darktide use their own versions of the special infected. So those must be Warhammer versions of Left 4 Dead. I know.
Yeah, they're kind of Left 4 Dead clones.
Okay. Yeah, I know almost nothing about Warhammer. I can't say nothing because I just beat Bolt Gun. That's leaving Game Pass. But yeah, I know this is a highly regarded game or franchise for a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm sure
I played the first one, but not the second one.
Okay.
Second one's better because it also adds melee combat, so that helps too.
Oh, did the first one not have that?
No, it just had like you could push it away with your pistols.
Yeah.
Oh, but you couldn't actually. Oh, like right here, we're seeing someone use like
the golf club
weapon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I also liked Left 4 Dead 2 a little bit more in some aspects. Like Left 4 Dead 1 was kind of like everything was like a movie theater kind of deal, whereas like they had like the posters and you end up in like airports or Mercy Hospitals. I think is still my favorite level of all of them, and it's the very first one you play. But like Left 4 Dead 2 is kind of like a continuous run around about like a New Orleans little feel, southern kind of paradise. So you get to go with like the flooding and levels and everything else like that. You get the fun carnival ride level. It's really fun. And another thing too is Left 4 Dead 2, I believe, came out a year after Left 4 Dead 1, which was also kind of another thing that made this game a little bit controversial with some fans.
Dang it. So I just pulled up my achievements for Left 4 Dead 1, and I completed, there's 3 DLCs, and I completed 2 of them, but the third one is no longer available on the store, so I didn't buy it, so I would have no way to get these achievements. That sucks. Unless someone I know has those DLCs on their account and would let me sign in as them. But, yeah. So, all right. Left 4 Dead, yep, very popular game. Definitely not surprised to see it come up on this list. So, all right. Let's see. All right. Well, that will bring us into our number twos. So, I haven't gone first on a round yet, so I think I'll go ahead and start off our number twos. And so for me, my number two is a game that I don't talk about in depth a lot, but I do mention a lot. And Halo is got to be up there because it was the game that got me into Xbox, and I played a lot with friends. But my favorite one is not Halo 1, although I do love that one. But for me, my favorite of the Halo franchise is Halo 3. Was probably my favorite shooter of all time until a few years ago. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nod, nod. But yeah, Halo 3, I love this game. It is definitely I wouldn't say by far, but it is easily my favorite of the Halo franchise. There are a lot, a lot of good games in the Halo franchise. The only one that I think is actually, well, at least on a story standpoint, bad is 5. The gameplay was okay. And because I'm not big on PvP, I did play a lot of the PvP in the older ones, but going along the franchise, I basically stopped playing PvP and I just play as a campaign or a co-op shooter. So I don't really know anything on the multiplayer side of things for like Halos 4 and 5. So everything I'll talk about is just from the like campaign aspect. So, but I didn't really have any issue with the gameplay in 5. It was mainly just the story. But they all, in my opinion, play well. Even ODST, I freaking love that one. I think when we did top 5 soundtracks, I think I listened to all the Halo soundtracks, and I think ODST was my second favorite soundtrack behind the Halo 2 soundtrack. But for me, Halo 3 is the cream of the crop for the Halo franchise. It was arguably one of the biggest video game launches of all time. The hype around this game was insane.
Yes.
And it lived up to the hype in every aspect, in my opinion. This game is just so great. So, yeah, I got into... I was a PC gamer at the time. I got back into console gaming because all my friends had Halo and Halo 1. We were talking about earlier when Lois was talking about Halo 2. We played a crap load of System Link of Halo 1. Halo 2 came out. We played it for a little bit. We weren't huge fans on Halo 2, so we went back to Halo 1 until Halo 3 came out, and basically we all switched to Halo 3 because we did really like Halo 3. But Reach was also great. Some people may not agree. I know some people, James, don't like the addition of the abilities. But I liked it, and Halo 3, one of the great things, you can still dual wield. I'm sad that disappeared from the franchise. That never made sense on why they got rid of it. But yeah, I don't think that there's literally anything bad I can say about Halo 3. This game is just fantastic. So yeah, it's my number 2. And Sadlad Chad is agreeing with me. He says, yeah, Halo 3 is goated. So
Halo 3 is also my number 2, so I'll just continue the conversation here as well.
Okay.
Halo 3, I always say to people, is what I consider the definition of a perfect game. I know a lot of people like to argue that there's no such thing as a perfect game, and it's like blah blah blah. I know lines of code nonsense, but it's just like let's get past the little autism and let's just talk about what it is. Halo 3, you just had to be there at the time of when this game came out. It was basically its own little social media sensation. It was its own. You can honestly say that probably Halo 3 helped really push YouTube into like the mainstream consciousness as well too, because as I always joke about, so many people can remember watching one of those like really bad MLG, let the bodies hit the floor, kill streaks, whatever nonsense.
Compilations of getting kills online.
Yeah, and it's just like it did everything right. It was one of the few 4-player co-op games that I can remember playing too.
4-player co-op. Yeah, because 1 and 2 only had 2-player co-op.
Yes. So like it gave you the ability to play with all your friends. It had a really fun and satisfying story. The multiplayer I played for hours. I mean, you saw the evolution of so many favorite game types from this game too, like Griffball.
I loved Griffball.
and like kind of the canonization of a lot of other like Halo 2 games that were made official from community nights, like Zombies and SWAT also really got pushed heavily into the ranking system as well for Halo 3.
Yeah,
And
this
on
is
top
in the
of
time that I played. I did play a lot of PvP on Halo 3.
yeah, and the maps were really good and everything else like that. It helped to launch another video game too, Crackdown as well. Don't forget that,
Yes, I love Crackdown.
because they tied the Halo 3 multiplayer beta into the Crackdown game as
I
well.
bought Crackdown just for the Halo 3 beta, and then I ended up loving Crackdown. That's actually what was on my honorable mentions.
Yeah. So Halo 3 definitely for me as well. Just I have so many great memories of spending, countless hours playing this game long into like, the wee hours of the morning or on the weekends after school, playing some multiplayer maps before school with my friends. Obviously, summertime, we would just be marathon running it and everything else like that. Who else was like a teenager going to get Gamer Fuel because they had the little Master Chief and it tasted really good.
I love Gamer Fuel. I remember a lot of people hated it, but I loved it.
I love that stuff, man. It was great. And the only place that actually has Gamer Fuel that tastes as good as that is Arby's, believe it or not.
I haven't been to Arby's in decades.
Yeah, now they're expensive, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, Halo 3, like I said, it was revolutionary. You had the little capture system. You could record your stuff with your friends, post up your custom maps. It had Forge.
Yeah,
and your friends could build your maps.
Yeah, Forge mode and Theater mode were like, the introduction of that was like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah. So, like I said, there was just so many things about this game that like just revolutionized, not just like, I wouldn't say like it super revolutionized the super shooter genre, but just revolutionized gaming on a huge front for me.
Yeah, because
So
I'm gonna.
agreed.
I was gonna say because I think this is a question for everybody here and chat. Like this was probably, if not everybody's first console online game. If I'm not, I would have if I had to guess, and this is just my age, but this was for sure. I mean, not 3, but just Halo in general. That was the reason why I wanted to play games online on a console instead of on a PC. I don't know if anybody else this was the same thing, but
yeah Halo 2 for me was definitely that first one.
Yeah, I didn't have, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have Xbox Live until the 360, so I never played Halo 2 online. But I absolutely, I played a heck of a lot of Halo 3 online.
Yeah, no, like I said, everything about this game I just really just enjoyed. It has such great. This is like my high school. Like everything about this game is just high school. Like it came out, I think, sophomore year for me.
I was in college already, so I didn't get to play it like in person with all my high school buddies like we did with Halo 1 and 2.
Yeah. So, like I said, just so many memories for me. Halo 3 is like I always say this every time. If you had to ask me what a perfect video game is, I would always just be like, well, Halo 3 is that perfect video game.
Can't argue with that.
And most of it also has to come from like you just have to be there at the time because of just how revolutionary and just groundbreaking it was. I don't think there is another video game that can even come close to that conversation. Like there's other video games that are great, that are amazing, that have done great things to kind of like change up, their genre and everything else like that. But just like Halo 3 is the only video game I can think of that actually did it for like so many different things that are just like now common staples and commonplace just because of just how integrated society is now with like things like social media and that. This feel like Halo 3 felt like its own social media platform before it became Facebook and MySpace and Twitter and everything else became like as integrated into our lives as it could be.
Yeah, I was talking to Dude about this recently, and I think it exists on the Master Chief Collection now, but it didn't originally in Halo 3 when it came out, which is the one thing I would have added to it because I loved playing custom games, but you could only play custom games like with a private lobby. If I could have added the one thing I would have added if I had the opportunity would be a custom game search browser, so I could go find other people who, just random people playing custom games and join their custom games. I love custom games so much. That's the one thing that it didn't have that I really wish it did. But I literally could not say I would want anything else in this game changed.
Yeah, like I said, you're hard pressed for me to think of like a better shooter, but I do think that there is one that I consider deserves its respect above Halo 3.
Okay. But yeah,
Unfortunately, this is one of the big gaming moments when Halo 3 came out that I totally missed out on.
bummer. But yeah, the campaign as well. I thought it was a great culmination of the trilogy. Had a great story. It had some really epic set pieces. Probably my favorite is when you have a Hornet, or you're supposed to have a Hornet, and you're fighting the two scarabs outside the like.
Yeah.
Or
no, the better one.
Arc.
Sorry,
but yeah, that one is awesome.
The better one is when you fight them with mongooses. That's the better one.
Oh, earlier was it? No, that was a couple levels prior, but that's a good one too.
Yeah, when the scarab comes down, you're just running around mongooses, or you're shooting rockets. Oh, it's just so fun. Did you? There was a funny video I saw where a NPC just fires a random rocket and just takes out the scarab by himself. Yeah, I was like, what is going on? The guy's like really confused.
So what? The NPC fires a random rocket and it goes just right in the perfect little spot where it hits that one spot on the back of the scarab and blows it up. It's like, what are the odds of that?
And that's another thing too, is just why Halo 3 was so great, is that you could actually record those clips in game for the first time probably ever, and you could be like, no, it's real, I have video proof.
Yeah, such good times. Yeah, it's sad that we'll probably never get something like the launch of Halo 3 in the industry again.
Well, just things have changed. Everything's become more like buy at home, rise of digital media and everything else like that. It's just you're not gonna see it as much, and that's just kind of the reality of the situation. As we get older, stuff is just changing.
Yeah.
Like even all like
glad I was there at the time though.
Yeah, like even last gen, it's like there weren't any of those like super iconic commercials that you can think of for any video game off the top of my head.
Oh, another thing that was cool with the community aspect of the game was if you got the first, it was the Hayabusa armor, which is from the Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. And you got that by, I believe it was by getting all of the Vidmaster achievements, which I think there were 7. They were all worth 0 gamer score, and they were each one was tied to like a difficult challenge. So if you saw someone that had that, it's like, oh my god, that person's pretty good. And then later on, it became the recon armor, because the only people who got the recon armor was people that Bungie like gifted it to. So there's a couple people who like got it for like silly things. Like one person got they shot a rocket and it exploded, and the cone that was next to the explosion came and hit him and killed him. And I remember that person, Bungie thought it was hilarious or something. They gifted the person recon armor. So that was like the holy grail of the Halo community, was getting the recon armor, because the only way to get it was if Bungie like bestowed it upon you. So and Sad Lad Chad's mentioning, don't forget file share. You could save your stuff so that other people could download it. Like you could make a map and a game type and put it on your profile, and other people, just random, could come to your profile and download it, and then they could play your game types and stuff. Such good stuff. So yeah. But yeah, Sad Lad Chad said Halo 3 is goated. Halo 4 and 5 do not exist in your mind. Perfectly understandable.
4 is not as bad as people say it is. I think it's still good. I think 5, if you just played the multiplayer, it's not that bad of a game. But like, yeah, I'm with you that the storyline and everything else it just felt weird. And especially the way that they tried to continue that story. It was like, oh, you got to watch this 5-second clip of a Taco Bell ad after you eat the fire sauce, and then it'll make sense to you. I'm like, it's just kind of dumb. Microsoft really did not know what they were doing, and 343 and Bonnie Ross just didn't understand what to do with Halo 5, at all. Halo 4, it was fine, the ending and the set off, and then they just retconned all that stuff in Halo 5. And then they retconned that stuff again in Halo Infinite. And it's just like, well, what's going on here? What are we doing? But Halo Infinite wasn't terrible either. I actually enjoyed Halo Infinite.
I have yet to play it. That's one of the ones I'll be playing once I get all caught up in my dive. So
I think you'll like it. It's a good podcast game.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting playing it as, it's basically an open world game. So that'll be an interesting twist.
The grappling hook is great.
Yeah,
They
grapple shot.
really nailed it with the grappling hook in general. That's just pure fun.
Spider Spartan.
No, I'm dead serious. Like you may
Yeah.
laugh, but like once you're playing it, you'll be like, I get it. You're gonna text me and be like, I get it.
No, I don't doubt it at all. So, but dude saying they didn't bring back dual wielding because it was difficult to balance for the sandbox. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I was gonna say, what was it? The plasma pistol and what was the
Magnum
SMG?
or the
Or
SMG.
yeah, where you could just charge and then it's over. So I mean, I was like,
BXR.
yes, thank
That
you.
was with the battle rifle.
Gotta love a good BXR though combo. BXR.
Yeah, I was watching the battle rifle on Lois's show and thing. I'm like getting all mad because I was never great with with the battle rifle, and I'm just seeing me just losing my health every time that the gun goes off. I'm like, this sucks, because it always would stun you as well, and you're like, you're just done.
So, a dude is saying that he also had a level 50, which is the highest skill ranking in SWAT in Halo 3. That was my game type. I played a lot of SWAT. I think I got it to like 42 at it, so I got pretty high. But
I think
not 50.
I think the highest level I ever got in Halo 3 was level 46, and then I hit the wall. I was like, I get it. I'm never going to be MLG, guys.
Yeah.
I just get it. The funniest member I have is still my buddy Gus and me, who I mention all the time. He is the only person I ever see get like a triple kill in team doubles, and it still makes me laugh to this very day.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does not surprise me that dude got to level 50. So from Sad Lad Chat, he says, I discovered Halo because of Red versus Blue. That's awesome. I love Red versus Blue.
Suck it, Blue.
I quoted it back, or just I think I quoted it backstage before we started the stream. But Red vs. Blue and Halo 3 was the first game I ever played on Xbox. Nice. Good game to start with. I made so many friends, some of whom I still talk to. That's awesome. Halo 3 is legit part of what formed me into the man I am today. That is awesome. So he liked Halo. He thought Halo 3 story was weaker than Halo 2. The sandbox elements of Halo 3 make it you approach every fight so unique. Fair enough. Hayabusa. Oh, he's saying Hayabusa armor was all skulls. Recon was Vidmaster. I thought that the Recon armor you literally could not get from anything that you did in the game. Bungie had to bestow it upon you, but I could be wrong about it. That's just what I thought I remember. So, but yeah, there was Vidmaster in ODST as well. So I do have 100% in all the Halos on the of the achievements on the 360 games, but I do not have 100% in the Master Chief Collection like Dude does. So. Dude's also saying Hayabusa was tied to all of the original achievements. Okay, Vidmaster were all the DLC achievements and were tied to the Recon unlock. Oh, okay. So originally, Recon, you could only get it if Bungie gave it to you, but then they added it into the game later so you could unlock it if you did all of this extra stuff. So thank you for the memory trigger. He's calling me Neo's a fake Halo 3 fan. I just forgot exactly what the details were of all that stuff. I have 100% of the achievements in Halos 3, 4, 5, ODST, and Reach. So,
but not Halo 2 and 1. So boom. Roasted.
Well, I do have all the achievements in Halo 1, the Anniversary Edition, but they never released a 360 version of Halo 2. The only version of Halo's 2 that has achievements is the Windows one, which I didn't have, and I didn't have a PC that could run it if I did, and the Halo 2 that's in Master Chief Collection. There was no 360 version of Halo 2. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten all the achievements in that one as well.
Yeah,
so like I said, fake fan.
You also didn't want to play games that had the made for Windows or game for Windows because they
Halo
were
2
all
was games for Windows
terrible.
Live.
Yeah, and they were all bad.
So I'm appalled by the armor design in Halo 4 and 5, says Headlight Chad. Understandable. Neo, you'll find to play Infinite with the company boys, but yes, we do have to get through Halo 5 first. Not sure when that'll be, but I will be getting to Infinite. But yeah, we still have to get through 5 because it's taken a while just because we only play it on Sundays, and I usually am often not able to. So it's taken us a long time to get through the whole franchise, but we'll get there. Satellite Chat says, just beat Halo Infinite campaign earlier today, currently playing it online. Sweet. They added it later after ODST came out. So, dude, I have all the achievements in games for Windows Live version of Halo 2. That's right. He does. So, all right. So, well, that took a while, but Carl and I both had to gush about Halo 3 because it was both our number 2s. So, let's go to Lois. He's been a little quiet. What was your number 2?
All right. My number 2 is Metal Hellsinger.
Ooh, interesting. I played it, but it wasn't that high on my list, but I did enjoy it. So regale us of your adventures in Metal Hellsinger.
Right. So what really drew me to this game was that I am a metal fan, and there were a few artists that are there. Okay, but we'll take a few steps back for a bit. So this is a shooter that's also a rhythm game,
Yes.
and you can see on the screen there's a little reticle in the middle, and you have to wait until those little angles are lined up. And if you do that, your score will go up, your damage will go up, and the music changes the higher your multiplier goes.
It's just like Rock Band in that every time you get like you do an action on the beat after like after like 8 times, the multiplier go up to like ×2, then ×4, ×6, ×8. Or no, not ×6, ×4, 8, 16. I think 16 was the max, but
16 is the max. So, and then the other main appeal of this game is that the soundtrack has a lot of guest vocalists from some famous and some not so famous metal bands. For example, I don't know if this is considered a spoiler or not. Should I say who they are?
I wouldn't say that's a spoiler.
Okay. So there's Alyssa from Arch Enemy is one of the vocalists. Michael from Dark Tranquillity is one of the vocalists, and Serge Tankian from System of a Down is one of the vocalists.
Yeah.
So that's what drew me to the game initially, because I like all these artists a lot. Dark Tranquillity especially, they're really, really good, and the singer features on like half the game's soundtrack. So what this game basically feels like playing Doom to the beat of these awesome metal songs. And a lot of people like to describe it as an awesome album with a game attached.
I would agree
which
with that.
Is very fitting. And yeah, this one also, like I mentioned, Praying 2 had my soundtrack of the year. This game also had my soundtrack of the year for 2022.
It is a good soundtrack. I've been trying to get
it's
Paul
up there
to play this because he's a big music guy.
Yep, I actually have a top 10 soundtracks video that I've made before, and this is actually in my top 10.
Nice.
So it's amazing, and it's super hard too, because you basically have to train yourself to shoot at the right times. Otherwise, you'll do so little damage that you'll just get overwhelmed. But it's so fun once you get it down, and so satisfying.
Yeah, once you get in the groove of it, it feels great. One of the things that you briefly mentioned is that the music changes, and what that means is when you're at like no multiplier, all you have is like the drum line. And then when you get to like a ×2 multiplier, then the guitar kicks in. And then at like ×4, the bass will kick in. And then like at ×8, the vocals will kick in. And they'll go in and out as your multipliers go up and down, which is a really cool concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul's there. He says, I need to try it again. Couldn't get the game to calibrate. Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that last time we talked about this. But yeah, this was a really cool game. It was on Game Pass, which is why I played it. It left Game Pass sometime last year. It might have been the year before, but I panic played it before it left Game Pass, and it was a really cool game. Because I knew, like, I had heard good things about it, and it was on my list of things to play. And they're like, it's leaving Game Pass. I'm like, all right, well, now's the time.
So I played it on PC on a monitor, obviously, and I didn't actually have any issues with calibration, but I imagine if you're playing it like on a TV, there might be more of a delay, because I remember
go ahead.
When I was playing Rock Band on PS4, the calibration was a nightmare, especially when the game first launched, because it was buggy as well. But I had no issues with calibration on PC, at least.
Because I played it on Xbox, and when I first booted it up, it wasn't quite right, but the calibration settings weren't too difficult, and then I got it down right, and then I didn't really have any issues after that. So it wasn't too difficult, but yeah, cool game. There's only 2 voiced characters in the game, and there are 2 big name voice actors. And the one of them I didn't recognize just because I know the voice actor's name because he's in freaking everything, but I've not played many games that he's been in, so I don't really recognize his voice yet, and that's Troy Baker. But the other voice actor, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, I know exactly who that is. That's one of my favorites. And that was that's blank FemShep.
Jennifer Hale.
Thank you, Jennifer Hale. She's a voice in this game as well. So I was like, oh yeah, Jennifer Hale. So, and it's not a terribly long game either. So kind of like Vanquish, you could get, once you get into the beat of things, you could get through it in a relatively short amount of time. So if you just want to, and there are different difficulties as well as expected. But yeah, I definitely recommend this game as well. It was cool. Got a great soundtrack, really cool premise. So there's another game that I was getting mixed up with this one for the longest time because it's basically the exact same idea. Are you familiar with Bullets Per Minute?
Yeah, I have that on my wish list. I haven't played it yet, though.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you played it because I know of it, but I don't know. And I know it's basically a clone of this, but I was curious on what you thought of it if you had played it. So
I think that game came out before Metal Hellsinger too.
I
I think
believe
it came out before.
Because I was
yeah, a
getting
lot
the
of
two
people, a
games
lot of people
mixed
were,
up.
a lot of people were comparing Metal Hellsinger to that when it came out.
So, but yeah, this was a cool game. Great soundtrack. One of the few soundtracks I've listened to outside the video game. Because, you know, as I often say, I'm not huge on like listening to video game soundtracks, but I did go and listen to this one outside the game because it was pretty great. So yeah, Satellite Chad's giving the rock fist. Please tell me Brendan Small is in this game.
I don't think so.
I
Brendan
don't
Small.
know who that is.
Pride of Illinois.
Who's Brent? What band is that?
Metalocalypse. He also did
okay.
movies for Adult Swim. Yeah, Brendan Small's an Illinois boy. I believe he grew up
Okay.
in Rockford, Illinois.
So it was a while ago that I played it, so I don't remember, and I don't know a lot of the names of, like, I know Serge Turkanian, but a lot of the other people's, like the actual like singers' names, I don't know them, but I've heard their band names before, so I wouldn't be able to tell you Brendan Small was in it. So
Yeah, the other two famous ones are probably Matt Heafy from Trivium and
I know Trivium.
Randy Blythe from Lamb of God.
Yep, I know Lamb of God.
Oh, and then also Christina Scabia from Lacuna Coil is in one of the DLC songs.
Oh, I didn't play the DLC, but I do like Lacuna Coil a lot.
I bought a free Randy T-shirt at Mayhem Fest the year that he went to jail and overseas.
So yeah, Satellite Chat is saying FemShip. Yeah, Jennifer Hale. I just blanked on her name for a moment. Yeah, excellent pick. So, all right, I think that leaves it with Jason to round out our number twos.
Yeah, mine's gonna be pretty boring. It's my number 2 and number 1. So if you guys are in chat, I apologize. You guys have probably heard me talk about these games way too much.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yep, right, exactly. For number 2, I put Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I figured Borderlands would be on your list. I wasn't sure which one it was going to be.
Yeah, 3. I was looking to see which I had more hours in. 3, I just barely have more hours than 2. I like 3 because the more the game becomes newer, the more you can do with it. I like the extra stuff that you can do in the game. But 2, I have like 150 hours in. The boss was so good at number 2. Probably the best boss that they had. I didn't care for
the dragon thing. What was the boss of 2?
Oh shoot, what's his name now?
Handsome Jack.
Thank you. I was like, I have the last thing, but I'm trying to remember it. But yeah, Handsome Jack.
He was the final boss.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm thinking of that dragon thing he thought was the final boss.
He summons something, doesn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, he's the face. Like, to me, he's the final boss. Like, he's the what? Okay. If you don't want to say boss, he's the antagonist. He's the final antagonist that it makes you do the things that you're doing. Like, if it wasn't like he has all the charisma, he's a boss that you would want to have in your game. I guess
he's definitely one of the greatest antagonists in video games.
Yeah, I guess you could say it that way. Because the final boss for anything is and the Borderlands thing is always some crazy big world ending thing that something's trying to do something to do, or someone's trying to do something to. So that's how I mean by final boss in a way.
I
But
have this game in my honorable mentions too.
yeah, like to me, I wasn't the biggest fan of Borderlands when it first came out because I didn't know what it was. So somebody told me to play this one, and I played with them like, oh, it's Diablo, but a first person with a bunch of guns. And then when I finally realized that, I was like, okay, when are we going to start playing? Kind of thing like that. So when I found out that it's like, oh, it's not just a story-based game that you need to do this, it's actually a looter, I was like, okay, I played the first one wrong this whole entire time. And then when I went back to play it that way, I was like, okay, it makes so much more sense now. And then the whole franchise became a thing. But number 2 was the game that I was like, okay, I can see me on just PC alone playing over 150 hours of this game to get stuff. And that doesn't count when I first played it on the 360 and all that kind of, all those other systems as well. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunately 360 didn't track hours like the Xbox One does, so I wouldn't be able to say how many hours I played Borderlands 1 or 2. But yeah, dude said it in chat. The Warrior, that's the boss that I was thinking of. That's that dragon thing that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, Handsome Jack is definitely a great antagonist.
Yeah, I always when I mean that, like, because in Borderlands the final boss is always some gigantic, crazy spectacle monster. So yes, Handsome Jack might have been the final boss, but to me he is because he's the one doing everything. So
okay. And dude saying Final Fantasy VII had a mobile game that was a battle royale shooter.
It was terrible.
I did not know that.
That sounds terrible.
It was awful. And then also, I want to ban October 23 Mike for naming that game, or at least put him on a timeout, because that game to me doesn't exist either.
Dirge of Cerberus, the greatest game ever made.
Did someone say
Could have been
Final Fantasy VII?
It could have been so good.
There's also Dirge of Cerberus, which was on a Melee Town Square. We're talking about, I forgot what we were talking about, but came in. So yeah, Dirge of Cerberus is the best Final Fantasy game because it's the shooter.
It was such a wasted opportunity of a game.
So, and Sad Lad Chad said, the only Borderlands game I like is 1. Interesting. The humor in 2 and onward is cringe for me. All right.
Yeah, I can
3,
see that.
2, I haven't played 3 yet, but I know that the twins can be kind of cringe, but I didn't have an issue with it in 2.
Yeah, I mean, 1, I can see that being a thing because 1 was the first one and they were not trying to be that way. When they found out like this humor is a thing in 2 and then onward, they're like, hey, we need to make it funny in a way. So I can see that. Like, I mean, Tiny Tina to me is not one of my favorite characters. So I mean, I completely understand that.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was introduced in 2. So, dude says Dirge of Cerberus deserves a remake, so its mechanics to be better fleshed out. If they did a remake, they could make it an actually good game, and that might be the first Final Fantasy game I actually play.
You'd be so confused. I don't even think you'd want to do that.
I've played plenty of games that I have no idea what's going on because I don't know anything about the franchise. There have been a few Metroidvanias. I played them just because they're Metroidvanias, and I don't know anything about the IP it's from.
I mean, I know about the franchise, and when I played Dirge of Cerberus, I was like, what the hell is still going on?
Mike says, I regret nothing. Meanwhile, I'm eliminating Superman with Hatsune Miku. I have no idea what that means. My friend tried to convince me Butt Stallion is funny.
It's not.
And Borderlands 3 gameplay was really good. The story was terrible, says dude. So,
yep, I agree.
All right. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll get into our honorable mentions before we get into our number ones. So, Carl, what are your honorable mentions?
Right as I put a piece of fruit in my mouth.
All right. Well, in that case,
1 second. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
My honorable mentions. First one, I'll say the Gears of War series overall.
Okay.
I like all of them. 4 is the weakest entry, but I really did enjoy 5. But yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Gears of War. The other ones, of course, the Mass Effect series. You can give those as shooters, but I don't really consider them mostly shooters.
Yeah.
One of the games that is in a franchise of shooters, but isn't a shooter. But I will put it in here just because I think it's funny to say this. But the best Far Cry game, Far Cry Primal.
No, yeah, because there's no guns.
There's no guns, but you do get bows and arrows, and you get to throw spears. So you technically get to shoot something a little bit. And of course, there's other games out there too that just fit this criteria. The Uncharted series, I think, is relatively good. There's plenty of other over-the-top shooters out there, but my number one, I think, is the quintessential one that spawned a lot of shooters. So I'll say that much.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and piggyback off that a little bit. Because, like I said originally, I had a list of 20 games, and then I narrowed that down to 10 and then to 5. But Gears was in there because I hate Gears multiplayer, but I like the campaign because, like I always say, I love co-op. So playing those games in co-op was great. But the games that I had originally some of these I had in my list, but I pulled them out because they're shooters and there's something else. But I was like, I'm gonna make my list of just shooters. So Mass Effect, of course, was on there. Mass Effect 3 being my favorite game ever, and it is a shooter, but I was like, let's make it a little more interesting. So since it's an RPG and a shooter, I put it out. Same with the Metroid Prime games. They're Metroidvania for shooters, but they're not specifically shooters, so I pulled those ones out. But I love the Metroid Prime games. Same thing with Journey to the Savage Planet, which we just got a little bit more information about the sequel, Revenge of the Savage Planet. We just got some more information about that yesterday, so I'm looking forward to the sequel to that. But Journey to the Savage Planet, I love that game, but also a Metroidvania first-person shooter. And then another one that kind of fits this category where you could play it as a shooter, but if you're playing it as a shooter, you're probably doing it wrong, and that is the Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy games, because those are meant to be lightsaber force power hack and slash games. But if you wanted to play it entirely as a shooter, you could. And I love those games. So those are the ones that I kind of took out of my list. But my honorable mentions of dedicated shooters, the one that I added earlier was Unreal Tournament 2004. Because I totally forgot to put that on my list. I love that game. I played Unreal Tournament 2003. I only ever played the demo, but I played a heck of a lot of the demo, but I never actually bought Unreal Tournament 2003 because Unreal Tournament 2004 came out just a year later and had everything that 2003 had, plus more maps and the added vehicles. So like I said, I love the Unreal Tournament franchise. I never played it online. I just played it against bots, but I had a lot of fun playing that against bots. Another shooter that I really love and is kind of on the verge of Metroidvania. The argument could be made, but I don't think a lot of people consider it Metroidvania, but that is my favorite Remedy game, Control. Love this game. I very much looking forward to whenever Control 2 comes out.
I can't wait. Yeah.
And probably I'd say doesn't get as much recognition as I think it should because Control is a great game.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't like the story. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. But I don't know. I like the X-Files kind of creepy world that they live in, like the Twin Peaks and stuff. Like Alan Wake is technically also considered a shooter by a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't consider those games like the same type of shoot as like a shooter sometimes,
Yes.
No,
exactly. I agree. And then, as mentioned earlier, the Crackdown games. I love all of them, all three of them. I've had so much fun playing all of them. So it would be really tough for me to pick which one I like the most. But since we're doing honorable mentions, I'm just saying Crackdown in general because I love it. And then my last honorable mention is probably one of my favorite open world games. That is Just Cause 3. I love this game so much. And the first DLC, which was the Sky Fortress, makes it the best Iron Man game. I love this game so much. All the crazy, wacky guns. You got a beautiful setting. It's like in the Mediterranean. It's not in a real place, but it's basically a fake country set on the Mediterranean. It's got a really beautiful game world. Lots of awesome vehicles and crazy guns and grappling hook and parachute and wingsuit. I love this game so much. So those are my honorable mentions. So Lois, what about you?
Well, I have Left 4 Dead and Borderlands 2, which we talked about earlier. I have Metroid Prime, which you mentioned, because I kind of took that one off because it's kind of considered something else more than a shooter.
Yeah.
I also
Makes
have Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is
Okay.
more of like an RPG or like kind of a, I want to say immersive sim, but I don't know if that's the right term.
I always get them mixed up. Was Human Revolution the first one, or was that Mankind Divided was the second one, or do I have that backwards?
Human Revolution is the third one. So that one, the one that came out on the PS3. I haven't played the original yet, which I need to get to eventually.
Right. I just meant between the two most recent ones because it was kind of a
Yeah.
reboot of the franchise. Human Revolution was the first one, and then Mankind Divided was the second one, right?
Yep.
Okay. I never played Mankind Divided, but I did play Human Revolution, and I really like that game.
Yeah, it's really good. I have Star Wars Battlefront 2 as one of my honorable mentions because
Okay.
Good one.
I'm way less of a Star Wars fan now than I used to be.
Understandable.
So I have Sin and Punishment Star Successor, which is a Wii shooter, and it's more of like a on-rails shooter.
It is a rail shooter. It's also was a Japanese exclusive Nintendo 64 game.
Oh.
Right.
I've heard of Sin
The
and
one on the
Punishment, but I don't
Wii.
know anything about it.
Yeah, the one on the Wii is a sequel.
Yes.
And obviously it's on the Wii, so it's all motion controls, and it's really, really fucking hard.
I also guess another honorable mention since I forgot about this rail shooter, but I think you should say it. Panzer Dragoon rail shooter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go. I also have Link's crossbow training because I'm a Zelda fanboy. Just saying.
Oh well, if we ever get back to doing Zelda games part 2, we'll have to have you on.
Yeah, that one was
Or
like a
part
pack in
3.
for the.
Did we do a part?
That was a
2?
pack in for the rifle Wiimote thing,
No, we didn't.
and it was actually way better than it should have been.
I have one more honorable mention when you're done.
Okay. I also have Spec Ops: The Line, which is a third-person shooter with a story that you should experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, my brother. I think that if he was on this show, that would have been on his top 5 for sure. He talks about that game way too much. And
Yeah,
My only issue with that game was the hardest difficulty was way too stupidly hard.
Yeah, from what I remember, like as a shooter, it's actually kind of mid, but as like an experience, it's really, really good.
Yes, that is a great way to put it.
Yeah, and then my last honorable mention is Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash.
Is that a rail shooter?
No, it's a third-person squirt gun shooter with it's an anime titty game.
That was going to be my guess. I was like, I think I've seen someone stream this game before, and I was going to be, it's that squirt gun game, isn't it?
Yep, it's hilarious.
Okay.
And that's all my
definitely not
honorable
something I was
mentions.
expecting to see, but that's hilarious. So. All right, Jace, what about you and your honorable mentions?
All right, so I'm gonna go with the ones that have been already mentioned. So my list had Crackdown, Half-Life 2, Fear, Unreal Tournament 2003, and then as I said, I talked about Time Crisis and Virtual Cop. So I already talked about those a little bit. Ones that we haven't talked or anybody said anything yet is Returnal. I think that game's fantastic.
I'm so looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, it's a great game. Another one, this is one I just remembered from all the videos that we're watching. That was like an older game that if you get a chance to play, it was fun back then. And I didn't have a lot of time to play a lot of games, and I know I finished it, but the game called Painkiller.
Painkiller.
It was one of those little fun small games. Small games back then, first-person shooters that you could easily beat. I had fun playing it. Another one, this goes towards the light gun area, would be Police 911. This was one of those. Yeah, you had to by Konami that you had to move
sensors.
And had all the sensors on it. Yep.
When I played that one, I remember I had to take my hat off because it screwed up the sensors.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then another one, just because again I get made fun of because I'm old. We're going back to what made the ESRB, and that's Lethal Enforcers. That's another really fun. Another fun game that I remember. I believe it was the first one that would yell at you to reload when you were shooting the screen when you had no ammo left. So that reload is like buried in my brain. So anytime I see
shooter as well.
Yeah. So anytime I play a shooter or anything like that, and someone needs to reload, I literally say the Lethal Enforcers reload in my head all the time, and it's just buried in my head from all the times being in an arcade. So. And I think that was all of them. Yeah, that's all of them.
All right. So Sadlad Chad said the story. He liked the story in Gears 4 over 5, but Gears 5 gameplay is unmatched. All right, and he's saying, quoting me, "Say Mass Effect 3 is my favorite game ever, just like me, for real, for real." Sweet, is it really? I think he's mocking me, but if it is, that's awesome. Mike says, by the way, when I mentioned shooting, eliminating Superman with Hatsune Miku, I meant I am playing Fortnite as I hear the stream. All right. I've heard that name, Hatsune Miku, but I have no idea what that is or what that has to do with Fortnite. But thanks for the attempted clarification. And Mike was asking for Battlefront, classic or EA? I'm assuming you meant classic.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, I figured as much.
I haven't played the EA ones.
So I played Battlefront 2 after all of the debacle was patched out of the game, and it was a pretty good game. But I did not play a lot of the original one, so don't really have much to compare it with. But Mike's saying Peach beat Splash as cute Ninja Girls, Supersonic, and the girl of the hour, Nep. All right. So with that, we will get into our.
I have one more honorable mention.
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Crazy Ivan for the PS1.
Crazy. I've never heard of that.
Me neither.
What,
Look it up.
What kind of game was it?
You play as a drunk Russian fighting robots in a mech.
And it's a shooter?
Yes.
Crazy Ivan. Let's see here.
Oh, nice.
Spelled with a K, not a C.
Ah. Crazy Ivan. Let's see here. It does not have a retro achievement set, but this does look, first person shooter. Drunk Russian fighting. That does look that looks entertaining. Oh, you got a video up there.
Yes, this is Crazy Ivan.
You know what? I swear I've seen a clip of this game before. This is looks slightly familiar.
You probably seen a clip that looks like this game before too, because it does look like a lot of those early PS1, early PC shooters.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, never heard of it. So
I think I mentioned this like once before. It's one of my fun obscure ones I like to throw out every now and then for people to play.
that would make perfect sense because you're probably the only person that I would know that would bring up a game like this.
Yes.
So Sad Lads is saying that he prefers 2 over 3, but Mass Effect's my favorite series. Yes. So unfortunately, I had him scheduled for an open mic, but something came up, so we have not had to have an open mic yet. So looking forward to getting you on. We'll have to talk Mass Effect. So because it's my favorite franchise ever as well. So cool. Good to see another lover of Mass Effect 3. And Mike is saying Hatsune Miku is a virtual singer. Ah, okay.
We might need to get Sad Lad on when we do the character rankings. We got to sit down and do that tier list.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we talked about that. Yes. We'll reach out to you. Maybe we'll get you on for ranking all the Mass Effect characters.
Yeah, so I can autistically explain the lore of Ashley Williams to actually set the record straight for people who don't seem to understand her at all.
So, all right. Well, with that, now we will get into our number ones. So,
I'll just start.
All right.
I'll do it. My number one, I'm just going to say the first Doom game.
The original, the classic.
I'm just going to go with the original and the classic because even though it's not my favorite Doom game, that's Doom Eternal, I feel like this is the one I need to point out because without Doom, I don't think we have as many shooters as we do. And if we really look at it, it spawned Wolfenstein. It spawned so many type of clones out there, from Serious Sam to Duke Nukem to PO'd. If you ever have seen PO'd,
I've heard of it.
It just recently came out on PC not too long ago. Basically, PO'd is just Doom as a pissed off chef in outer space killing aliens with a frying pan. And
that was, it looks like it was on PlayStation and 3DO.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Yes, and it's also on Steam right now, and I think all modern consoles.
Oh, okay.
So it is just a generational, inspirational game that so many people love Doom in some way, shape, or form. Either classic Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, modern Doom. It just transcends times. Everyone knows the joke of it running on like Windows, running on like a calculator, running on a WordPad or something like that. Doom is
running on a pregnancy test.
Yeah. Doom is like the game. You know, people like to say Crysis It was the original meme. I think Doom is kind of just like that
Oh
original
no,
meme as well.
yeah, no, Doom was No,
The
Doom
two
is for
sides of the,
sure.
two sides of the coin, because there's the Doom runs on everything, and then there's the can it run Crisis.
Yeah, but it's just simplistic gameplay. It just holds up very well. It doesn't really like reinvent the wheel, and then it feels like every time you get a new Doom game, it just feels like it reinvents the wheel in a way that is like really good. Like Doom 3, I love Doom 3 a lot. I know that it's kind of sometimes a controversial one because of just how drastically different Doom 3 was, but it still was like one of the first like Doom games I ever played was Doom 3 on my original Xbox because everyone said it was really good. And it was very scary, very dark, and even for an original Xbox title, that game looks amazing even still to this very day.
One of the best looking original Xbox games.
And then, of course, Doom 2016 comes out, and Doom 2016, my God, man, that game was so great. And then Doom Eternal just feels like that's like my type of shooter, just in general. I love the fast pace, like on your toes, getting really gritty into your opponent's face. The murder puzzle. I love the murder puzzle. That's one of the big reasons why I like Super Hot, and that's another big reason why I love Doom Eternal. I just love just trying to figure out those murder puzzles. It's hard, it's challenging, and it's rewarding as hell. I know that, like I said, original Doom is what I'm going with, obviously, but it just feels like the whole entire Doom franchise could fit number one, but I feel like just go with the original Doom just because of just the greatness that this series has spawned in general, from copycats to sequels. And, hell, we even have the Gen Z version of it now coming back called the Boomer Shooter,
Yeah.
That was the last thing I beat. Bolt gun.
And like I said, there's been a great resurgence of Doom clones in this modern era. One of them I highly recommend to people is Forgive Me, Father. Have you guys played either of those games?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
It's basically a Doom clone. It's a Cthulhu version of Doom. That's the best way to say it. But it's got 2 playable characters, and it's super challenging and super fun. Highly recommend those games as well. It even got a sequel. That's how popular it got.
Another thing to mention on original Doom is it might be one of the most modded games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why I'd be Doom number one, because like playing Wolfenstein 3D first, because that was obviously the first one that came out. Like I would not have thought that it would have come to be this would be their next game. And if you look at Wolfenstein and you look at Doom, like I believe it's a year and a half apart. Mm-hmm. And this game is just so much quicker than it was. It's so much nicer. Like yeah, they had Wolfenstein 3D come out first, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the games we're gonna make. And then Doom's like, oh no, these are now what the games are gonna be like. And it's insane how different and same that those two games are. And I mean, like I said, they're not made that much difference apart.
And like I said, I feel like Doom also inspired a lot of people to make a lot of shooters. Even on 100%. This list, we can look at, shooters that took heavy inspiration from Doom in some way, shape, and form.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I agree with that, because like I said, if this didn't come out and like say Wolfenstein 3D was their game they didn't make, and they didn't make something until something later on, I don't think it would have been as great. But when this game came out, how fast it was, and how you can do these other things, and then like you can add the puzzles to it, and then like, oh, there's a story about this guy that's trying to get out of hell in a way. Like there were so many random things instead of just a person in a maze that's going after robotic Nazis. Like that was Wolfenstein 3D. And like there's so many random little things about it. So yeah, like I said, Doom is not the first, but it is the best.
Yeah. So Sadlad Shed said, please, which when we were talking about the Mass Effect character tier ranking, so he definitely wants to be on that. Mike says, another go-to Doom game, and love to see more Slayers around here. Yep, absolutely. So Sadlad has a great one here, kind of piggybacking off what you're saying is, without Doom, I don't think Bungie would have made Marathon. Without Marathon, we wouldn't have gotten Halo. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Dude says Doom can run literally on a toaster. Yep. Mike says, can you run Doom on X Machine?
I don't remember what the X Machine was.
I don't know what that is. Is that
I know somebody just
calling an Xbox?
I don't know. I know somebody just put it on the refrigerator.
Yep. Satellite Chad says Doom 3 was great. So we got another Doom 3 fan, as is Dude. He says Doom 3 is his favorite Doom. The permanent flashlight ruins the atmosphere. Doom 3 is the one Doom game I have not. I mean, I played a little bit of it, but I haven't played through it in its entirety. So I will at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, it's the one Doom game I have not played. So Mike says, rip and tear, Rumble. Yep. And Satellite Chaz go out of his way to find boomer shooters all the time. Yeah, it's a resurging new genre, and it's been quite popular.
Well, if you haven't played Forgive Me Father, I highly recommend checking this out, Sad Lad.
Another one that I know is popular. It was on Game Pass. I was going to play it, but I didn't get around to it because I ran out of time, was Proteus. I've heard that one was good. Anyone play Proteus?
No.
Nope.
All right. Mike says Doom is the father of shooters and Wolfenstein is the grandfather. Yep, absolutely. So, and I will go ahead and piggyback off that, continuing the Doom love. My number one is Doom Eternal. I love this game so much.
Nice.
And this is probably one of my top favorite games in the last decade. And I didn't even play. I don't have the nostalgia for Doom. I didn't even play. My first Doom game was Doom 2016, and I didn't even play it till a couple of years after it was out. Then I went back and played all the classics except for Doom 3. But I fell in love with the Doom franchise because of Doom 2016. And I know a lot of people don't like Doom Eternal. I know one of the biggest gripes is there's a lot of platforming in it. I don't have a problem with that. And another issue that a lot of people has is that, Doom is you just shoot things until they die, and the Marauder kind of throws that out the window. A lot of people had problems with the Marauder. But I didn't have a problem with that either. At first, when I first played Doom Eternal, I didn't dislike it. I just wasn't huge on it because I didn't like my main issue with it at the beginning was the change from in Doom 2016, all your guns hold like quite a bit of ammo. But in Doom Eternal, you have very small magazine sizes because it's basically forcing you got to switch up your guns constantly, which I didn't like that at first. But once I got used to it, I freaking love this game. And I was talking about it recently, and someone was shocked. I've got like 250 hours in Doom Eternal because I played this game for a few hours a week for basically since it launched. I haven't played it in a while now. I finally went back and got the last couple achievements I was missing last year, maybe late 2023. But that was probably the last time I played it. But up until that point, I was still playing it a couple hours a week since day one. This was probably the last game I bought on day one. Other than Destiny 1 in 2014. But I fell in love with this game, and I love it so much. And I eventually fell in love with how, in the DLCs, they added new enemies that are only vulnerable to certain weapon types. I thought that was really cool, further making it a murder puzzle, as you put it. And you got to, mix up your tactics for each character, enemy that you're fighting. I thought that was really cool. Some of the enemies are really annoying. Like probably the one I hate the most was, I forget what it's called, but it's like the spirit that goes inside of other demons and makes them more powerful.
Yeah, that's great.
Once you kill that demon, then it comes out, and the only way to kill that thing is with the microwave beam, which is probably my least used weapon mod. I literally don't use it ever, but they force you to use it for that one. If you don't kill it fast enough, it'll go into another demon. That's probably like my most hated one. But I loved how they mixed it up by adding all these enemies that are only vulnerable to certain weapons and abilities to further, make it a murder puzzle. I love this game so much. Just talking about it, I need to go back and play it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that before Dark Ages come out. And also because we're watching the gameplay too here, you got a grappling hook to grapple onto people with your double barrel shotgun. That is such a fun mechanic, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got all the achievements in the Xbox version, and before I play Doom Dark Ages, I'm going to play through it again, but the Windows version, and get the achievements all over again because I freaking love this game. So, like I said, probably one of, if not my favorite game of the last decade. Probably the other two that would compete for it is my number one favorite Metroidvania, which came out the same week as this. That's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I was going back and forth between playing these two because they both came out right as lockdown started. Mm-hmm. So I started working from home. So, and work was really slow. So whenever I didn't have to do work, I had one of them up on my other monitor so I could go back and forth between these two. And my other favorite within the last decade is Subnautica. Yeah, I love this game so much. And it didn't grab me right away, but I fell in love with it, and I love this game. It's so great. And I love all the different guns have different weapon mods, and you're constantly going through the game. You're basically upgrading your character, unlocking not necessarily new abilities, but at least for your weapons, you unlock different weapon mods, and you can, get the coins and stuff so you can upgrade your, not necessarily get new abilities, but make your abilities better. So you're constantly like progressing your character as well. So it's not like just a typical like Call of Duty shooter where you're not any more powerful at the end of the game than you were at the beginning. So you're constantly getting better. It's got awesome weapons with great abilities. I could go on about this game for freaking ever. I love it. And but I won't. So, but yeah, Doom Eternal is my number one. So
Nice.
anyone else have a Doom game as their number one?
Yep, mine's gonna be a boring number one.
So
Everybody in chat knows who mine is.
all right. Let's see here. Mike says my first ever Doom game was Doom 64, re-released on Switch and other platforms. Long forgotten Doom game that connects the old games with the new ones. Yeah. Dude says Doom Eternal is my least favorite Doom. I despise the Marauder. Understandable. He breaks the entire flow of combat. Yes, I will agree with
good
you.
scrub.
So I understand it, but I love Doom Eternal. And Mike says Spider Slayer does whatever a Doom Slayer does. Doom Eternal. So, all right, let's go lowest, and then Jason will finish us off. Or no. Actually, since Jason, let's flip that around. Jason, go next because it won't be as much of a surprise. Then Lois can finish us off with something that will probably surprise us.
Yeah, I have a feeling mine's going to be an odd choice.
All right, then,
Lois,
you finish off, so Jason, you go next.
Right. So mine changed the franchise away. Obviously, you had a weapon at all times, but to me, this wasn't a survival horror game. This was more of a third-person shooter in a way. But my number one is Resident Evil 4.
The original or the remake?
I just went with original because to me, that's what changed the franchise in a way. Obviously, it was a fixed camera angle puzzle with weapons to go after, but as soon as 4 came out, it became behind the shoulder. You had to you had to use weapons in the first 3-4 games if you want to say it, but when 4 came out, is like, oh no, you have to buy weapons and upgrade them to get past certain things because you need a sniper rifle to take out a few enemies with a heat vision on it. You need to
That's where I stopped playing the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, there's 4 to me became more of like, okay, we're an action hero star in this situation trying to get the president's daughter out. And then after 4, 5 became that, but even more crazier to the degree. And then 6 was even more ridiculous. It took a few games to actually got back, and then it became a first person in a way, but it still was. I guess 7 to me wasn't as much needed a weapon, but like for a while it became like, hey, this is where the franchise is going. And then even when the remakes came out, it's like, hey, the remake 2 and remake 3 and 4 again were all behind shoulders and like, hey, you need to do this. So after this game came out, it became like, hey, we're doing this way. And then as we just saw in the thing, like it had chapters. In the first few games, it never had chapters. It was just one continuous game. This one's like, oh no, you're saving here, you're going this way. It wasn't more survival horror anymore. It was like it was horror action. So that's why this would be my number one.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is the only Resident Evil game I've played, much less played most of it. Like I said, I never actually beat it, but I got a good chunk of the way through the game, and I expected it. My mental image of the Resident Evil was going to be this super scary horror game. I didn't think Resident Evil 4 was like scary at all.
No,
creepy,
it's not.
But not scary. But I'm not big on scary stuff. So yeah, I know a lot of people think RE4, 5, and 6 are not good because they basically get rid of all of that, and it's basically an action third-person shooter. So I think I'd probably like those ones the best if I did continue playing them. But at some point, I will be going through Resident Evil 4 again in its entirety, and I'm basically going to pull a Dude Souls thing, and DJ is going to kind of talk me through it because DJ Access loves Resident Evil as well.
Yeah.
He convinced me to buy it on Steam and give it another chance, and he's going to kind of talk me through it because he's played it so many times. So
yep.
I will play through it in its entirety.
Oh yeah, and like I said, the reason why I bought a GameCube was because of this game. And then it got delayed, and I was like, cool. Now at least I'm playing a few other games like Double Dash and all this stuff before this came out. But I was so bummed when I found out that this game, when I bought a GameCube, got delayed for, I think it was like 6 to 8 months or something like that. But yeah, like I said, it sounds like I'm talking negative about the game, but no, I absolutely love it. The scariest thing is when you see, one of the chainsaw guys coming right behind you. And then you're like, oh crap, I have to make a decision. But yeah, and as you play the game now, it's still great atmosphere. Leon is still one of my favorite characters, even though how he's changed so many times. Like he is the action star of Capcom in a way. So, but yeah, it's a great game, and yeah, Resident Evil franchise is still, as you can tell, one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah, I bought Resident Evil 4 on GameCube just because of how much hype there was around it.
Mhm.
And I tried it, and I barely touched it because I hated like the aiming in it. So when it came out on Wii, I traded my GameCube copy for the Wii, and then that's the one I actually played through the majority of the game because hey, I can actually aim now. So the Wii version was the one that I preferred. So Satellite Chad saying that he didn't like Doom Eternal, almost feel bad about it. All right. Mike says, what are you, a gaming journalist?
I mean, I wish, because then this would be no, I'm joking. I mean, I have game journalist ideas, but I actually have rational thoughts when it comes to them. So there are some good games that unfortunately get mentioned way too many times, but that's why they do, because they are that good.
So you think about Mario's butt?
I mean,
What?
I've been doing that for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Are those the game journalist ideas you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wonder about the sexuality of Ridley from Metroid Prime?
I have not ever thought about that one.
I guarantee that's an article probably somewhere.
I would not be surprised. But yeah, Mike saying, dang, these are all really good, amazing number ones. Yes. And Leon, Satellite Chad says, Leon is cool and all, but he doesn't punch boulders. That was Chris, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Chris's hands are probably nubs after doing that. So yeah.
I feel like for me, it's hard to say Resident Evil is a shooter. I know it is technically. It's just I feel like there's that difference between like games with guns and shooters. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you go back and you play 4, because I was tempted not to put it number 1, like you literally go to a merchant to buy weapons to continue on to the game.
I know. It just feels like this is like one of those games where it's like it's a game with guns. It feels like that shooting element helps it go along.
Speaking of the devil, there he is.
Yeah.
What
Like,
are you buying?
Exactly. And look at like it is like I said, I wish RE would have stayed as it was, because I love the tank control games. I'm one of the few that says that. But like you're literally finding treasures to sell so you can upgrade your weapons so you can continue on to the game. That to me is a shooter.
All right. For the sake of this stream, it absolutely counts. But yeah,
people count it as a shooter, but for me, it's just
I know exactly what you mean. I'm there with you. Like if I was a big fan of Resident Evil, like Jason is, I probably wouldn't have put it on this list because for that exact reason of why I didn't put like Mass Effect and Metroid Prime, because it is a shooter, but I wouldn't really. It's not kind of something that I think about when I think of shooters. So, but yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Satellite Chat says, RE4 counts as shooters. Yeah, absolutely. For this stream, it absolutely counts. So, all right. Yes, Satellite Chat says, Chris Boulders, Redfield. And yeah, Mike said, what are you buying, stranger? So, all right. Lowest expectations. What is your odd pick for your number 1?
All right. Well, my bizarre choice for number 1 is on the N64. It is a shooter made by Rareware, and
it's not GoldenEye or Perfect Dark.
And it's not GoldenEye or Perfect Dark.
Are you gonna say like Conquer?
I think
that would be funny if I did.
I think I know what it is, but I can't remember if it was made by Rare.
Oh, I know what it is. Oh, yeah. I love this game. I'm looking forward to playing it again for retro achievement.
Is it?
What do you guys?
Can I guess?
It
Go for it.
is Jet Force
Jet
Gemini.
Force Gemini.
Yep, that's
There we
my
go.
number one.
Good pick. I forgot about this game.
Yeah, this game is it's very weird because it's a third person shooter on the N64.
It was probably the first third person shooter I ever played.
Yeah, I think it was the first one I played too. It also has like platforming elements because that was kind of Rare's big thing back then too. So it's kind of a fusion of both, but the main thing you do is shoot. So
Yeah, it had weird controls for back in the day, because there was only one joystick. But yeah, I got at least I'm pretty sure I got 100% of everything you could in the game, which was pretty difficult because there was a lot of difficult stuff to do in this game. But I love Lupus, your space dog.
Yep, Lupus is great. The thing about the controls though, there's two different control schemes the game has. I don't remember what they're called, but there's one that kind of puts the camera right behind your head, so you're playing kind of like a over the shoulder kind of third person shooter kind of thing. And then there was the other control scheme, which I think was way better, which was the camera's way further out from you. So you're playing it kind of like a platformer, but if you hold the R button, then you basically go into like a really close up third person shooter mode. And when you do that, you can use the 4 C buttons on the N64 controller to move around. And the way they did that made it so once you get the hang of it, it's like the best controlling or shooter game of that era, basically. Because you have like 100% full control of your movement. I think the control scheme he's using now is the one that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So,
because I do remember that, like the first-person shooters by Rare back, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, you hold R in order to kind of, on GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, you wouldn't be able to move, but then you could aim your gun around the screen. They kind of took that here, except when you hold R, your character becomes kind of transparent, so you can see through them, and you can still move using the C buttons, and you aim with the joystick.
Yep. Yeah, so you had like basically perfect precision control if you can get it down. But getting it down takes like 2 full playthroughs in order to get it, because it's so
it just
unusual
right there. So yeah. I forgot about this game, but I do have this on my list because I 100%ed it back in the day, and I'm going to be playing it again for retro achievements at some point.
Yep, I 100% beat it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it took a lot, because I think the hardest thing was collecting all the tribals, because they can die so easily. And you got you have to assemble them, but you have your little like flying robot companion Floyd, and you have to do basically like one of the mini games that you have to do a bunch of times is like a little race thing. We have to get them through like the rings or something.
Yeah, and that's brutally difficult as well,
because
the controls are like you drift so much that you just keep running into the walls, and you had to do those things in under a certain amount of time as well.
Yep, so that was another thing that was very difficult.
Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest things about the game. But I did manage, so you actually get ranked based on your time as well. If you got like the blue medal, I think it was a blue medal, that was like the best possible one you could get. And to get that on all of those little race missions was like the hardest thing. One of the hardest things I've ever done, probably.
Yeah. Before I play this again for retro teams, I have to boot it up on my N64 and take a look at like my stats, because, I'm pretty sure I did all that stuff, and it was very difficult.
Yeah, those little Ewok looking guys on the screen, you can actually kill them yourself.
Yeah, or they can get shot by the enemies, and you have to collect all of them. Or they can get shot. So that was very difficult sometimes to collect them all without them getting killed.
Yeah, there's a few locations where the enemies, the ants, will try to kill them intentionally, but that's actually very rare. There's only like 2 of them.
Yeah.
The rest of the times they die, it's usually because of your own like carelessness, basically. Like you shoot a rocket launcher and it kills everything in the room, including them.
Yeah.
That happens quite a bit, especially on like a first or second playthrough.
Well, that was definitely not something I was expecting to see, especially not at a number 1, but interesting. So
I remember people loving it. Unfortunately, this is the one game, like, because obviously Rare was known for all their music. This is the one that I cannot remember any songs from the soundtrack. So after this is definitely over, I'm definitely gonna boot it up so I can at least remember some of the songs, because anything Rare soundtrack wise was fantastic, and for some odd reason, nothing's coming to my mind about this one.
Yeah, the music's actually pretty good.
Mhm.
It's not obviously not like their other stuff in the N64, but another thing I want to say though, like in my opinion, this is like the best looking N64 game.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
I
if
can
there's
see that.
another one that I haven't played, maybe that looks better, but I think this one has like the best graphics out of any N64 game ever.
Did Jet Force Gemini require the expansion pack?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't
think,
remember
yeah.
exactly though.
I think it did, because it came out late in the
N64's
lifetimes.
cycle.
Yeah.
It was 1999,
Yeah.
I believe.
Let's see here. September of 99. Yes. So
I don't think it was the first game to use that, but it was one of the early ones.
It
If it
didn't. Doesn't say on the cartridge, so I don't think it did.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
not.
Because I pulled it up on Retro Achievements and it's got a picture of the box, and yeah, it does not say anything about the expansion pack.
Yeah, if it doesn't require that, then that's really impressive. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you
sure.
look at the graphics here in this footage, it's like so much more detailed than like any other N64 game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, good pick. Definitely not something I expected to see tonight, since we often forget this game even exists. Okay. Looking at the box, it says 1 to 4 players. Did it
Mhm.
have a multiplayer mode?
Yeah. It was
I
like a
don't think
split screen versus mode. It was okay.
I don't think I ever played the multiplayer mode. I think I only ever played the campaign.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was the only one that was a huge fan of this game, so no one ever wanted to play the multiplayer with me.
Yeah, everyone's want to play GoldenEye. It's like, well, let's play Perfect Dark. For me, I was always like, well, I've got Perfect Dark. We can play Perfect Dark. They're like, let's play GoldenEye. I'm like, but Perfect Dark's better.
So
Or they just rather play Smash Bros or something.
yeah. So fun fact: there's only 2 games on the N64 that required the expansion pack, and those were Donkey Kong 64 and Majora's Mask.
I did not know Majora's Mask required it. Huh.
Mhm.
I knew DK64 did, and that's why it was bundled in with it, which is how I got mine. But yeah, I think all the other ones, they didn't require it, but
Made it play better.
yeah, or like in Perfect Dark's case, it had features that were locked off
Mhm.
unless you had the expansion pack.
Yeah, like StarCraft, you can get the expansion by having the expansion, and unlocks the extra 3 Terran missions, or Terran Zerg and Protoss missions.
Oh, okay. So cool. Well, that was definitely a great way to send us off for the finishing off this episode. So,
Mhm.
yeah, everyone in chat was like, Jet Force Gemini, Jet Force Gemini. And Chad says, Jet Force Gemini is a fever dream for me. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that complain about having to rescue all the tribals at the end. And it's kind of
have to in order to beat the game, though.
You did. You had to rescue all of them.
You did?
In order for the tribal chief to give you the last spaceship part, you had to rescue every single one.
I thought it was
just kind of a plot hole. That's kind of like a plot hole, in my opinion, because you have the main enemies rushing towards Earth at the time, and then the guy's like, "Oh, go out and rescue all the tribals."
Huh?
What are you doing?
My mind is saying that all of them were optional. You just had to get a good chunk of them in order to finish the game. But it was absolutely required to get all of them to beat the game.
Yeah.
Huh. I forgot about that.
So basically you're effectively 100% completing the game just to beat it.
Well, that's why I said, like, I think I 100%ed it because, when I was talking about the tribals, but I obviously had to do that. So
most likely you did, unless you want to add on the extra challenge of getting all the Floyd missions, the race things, and then also
pretty sure I did all of those to the highest level you could.
Right, and then also finding every single ammo expansion was probably another one, and every health expansion.
You know what?
Chicken butt.
I don't have it out here, but my stack of game guides have I pulled out here, like got Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Metroid Prime. I have the official Nintendo guide for Jet Force Gemini. I think it's down in that cabinet. I'd have to pull it out, but I'm pretty sure that's how it. I would, helped me get the 100% in the game. So
It's like Xbox owns Rare. Why don't they like? I don't want to remake, but like, why can't they make something like this?
yeah, I would love to see them, do something with the franchises they own under Rare.
Yeah.
They've literally done nothing with Rare since they bought them. It's sad.
Like this game could easily be played not like this style of game could easily be played now. People love it.
I think it's on the Rare Replay collection, but that's it.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's all they used all their stuff for.
Yeah, like it was a sequel or something to it. Bring back like Blast Corps and well, they are working on Perfect Dark, so
yeah, I've wanted this game to get a sequel ever since I played it way back in the day, and they just never touched it again.
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft it sold all that well.
I don't think it did either.
Probably not.
But yeah, I remember the Miser fight at the end was pretty difficult. I remember that took me a while to beat.
I think the boss battle with Lupus was actually the most difficult.
You had to fight
at
Lupus?
least
I don't remember that.
No, the boss that you fight with him.
Oh, the boss that you fight as Lupus. Okay,
yeah, there's those two jumping green guys. They're like the smallest targets out of all the bosses, so they're the hardest ones to hit. And they're moving around constantly.
Yeah, I remember bits and pieces of the game because it was so long ago, but I am looking forward to playing it again at some point. So yeah, dude says Microsoft just loves sitting on all their IPs. Yeah,
every company loves sitting on their IPs, man.
Yeah,
it's every company. Naughty Dog, Nintendo,
Activision there's a lot of rumors because they've been asking like, hey, what dormant franchises of ours would you like to make a comeback? And it's
same with Capcom and Sega. They always post this stuff, and it's nice that some companies are trying to bring their IPs kind of back. At least we're getting like a new Onimusha. We're getting a new, Okami.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Sega announced they're reviving a bunch of them back at the Game Awards like 2 years ago.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Shinobi. We're even getting our first Shinobi game this year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
all I know is anytime you see them have like polls out there, go and vote on those polls for stuff because the companies that post them do see that, and if they do release like Capcom in general, like when they're doing like their fighting collections and stuff, if you buy them and they have certain games that you want to see, buy them because then they realize if they sell a bunch, they will make an extra game. That's the reason why like Capcom's been doing a lot of stuff, because if they make any type of remake or any collection and people see anything like that, they will make it so you can get it. So I don't know if Xbox will do anything like this, but if they do, rebuy the game. I know it sucks to do that, but rebuy it so you can maybe get a new one.
Yeah, the
dude says I'd rather they sit on them than ruin them. I kind of agree with that too.
I understand the sentiment because a lot of the ones that they brought back have been, but there are some good ones out there. And where I was going with the whole Activision thing is that the rumors are getting very, very strong that we may be getting Tony Hawk 3+4. And
what about that too? Yep.
Tony Hawk 1+2 was a phenomenal remake. So if they bring back 3 and 4, although I agree, dude and I have talked about this before. I agree with him that 3 should be like a DLC for 1+2, and like 4 and like because 4 changes the gameplay style, because 4 you actually have kind of like more like an open world and you go up to NPCs and they give you missions. That was introduced in 4. Whereas 3 is just like 1 and 2, where you just have 2 minutes in each of the parks to do all the mission objectives. So 4 and I don't know, Underground. I never played the Underground games, but I know a lot of people love those. Should be like should be another bundle. But more Tony Hawk, I am all for. So if they do as much justice to it as they did with 1+2, I will be very happy.
We're getting old because I see Tony Hawk do commercials that are for your colon health.
I think you mentioned that before. Yeah, it's and then I was like, yeah, and then you see Shaq doing like the general insurance commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that was another fun episode of Top 5. So before we say goodnight here. Let's go around the horn, let everyone plug it. Oh, well, actually, one more thing I have to ask Lois. The gameplay we're seeing of Jet Force Gemini, is that your gameplay, or did you just pull up a video on YouTube?
No, most of these are stuff I just pulled up.
Okay.
Or actually, all of them are.
All right. So with that, we'll go around the horn. And Lois, what do you got going on that you want to plug?
Before I say that, one thing is that if this gameplay was mine, it would not be. He would not be struggling with the aim as much. Just saying.
Okay.
I don't have much planned right now. I'm working on a top 10 video game cover songs. I don't know when that'll be out. I've been working on that for a while. And I stream every Monday. I do Smash Bros. And I just stream randomly whenever I feel like it.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely got to join you for Smash Bros. One of these days.
And then my next long stream is going to be of newest Trails game.
Okay.
Which is a JRPG series.
I've heard about this Trails franchise, but I don't know anything about it. Carl probably knows.
It's a rabbit hole.
I like the Trials games. Those are much more up my alley. So I just put the link to, I've got everybody's link to their channel in the stream description, but I just dropped the link in chat for Lois' channel if you want to go give him a sub.
Yeah.
And he does Satisfactory stuff over there as well, if you like Satisfactory. So, and October Mike is saying that speaking of Tony Hawk, he's at a con that that Mike is planning on going to in April. That's pretty cool. See if you can go meet Tony Hawk. So,
haven't signed your vitamin C pills. There you go.
Well, thank you for joining us again. Lowest expectations. You're becoming somewhat of a regular because I think you're going to be on our next episode of Top 5 as well. So it's good hanging out with you.
Or the Switch games, yeah.
Yeah, so
that one too.
Yeah, next episode of Top 5 Switch games, but we'll talk about that here in a couple of minutes. Carl, what do you got going on?
Nothing.
All right, Jason, what do you got going on? Carl, you're going on vacation, right?
Yeah, I'm going on vacation. Just probably going to stream Monster Hunter Wilds. Probably Friday before I go on vacation. I was going to go do show yesterday, but I don't feel like it. I just want to play Yakuza Pirates. That's all I want to do.
Understandable. So, Mike saying he plans to stream DBZ Kakarot this Saturday in honor of the series creator Akira Toriyama is passing. Is that already a year ago?
Holy crap. Yeah. I saw that too. I was like, wait, that has been a year, hasn't it? Because I remember it was around.
It seems
like around the same. Yeah.
Dang. So, wow. Well, awesome that you're honoring his memory with that game. So, Jason, you got anything you want to mention?
Monster Hunter's coming out, so I might turn the camera on while I play it, so people that want to join in and yell at me for not being a great Monster Hunter, because again, I played it for a while now, but I'm still not new to it in a way, but like I'm not the best when it comes to remembering to I should probably eat this meal before I go hunting this one, or I forgot my earplugs. I probably should have made those. Doing that, and then the other one too is because I went to MagicCon over the weekend, I kind of got the itch to play even more again, so I might boot up Arena. I don't know, it's the easiest way to play it. I don't care for the MTGO client. I wish I could play that one instead because I like the formats on there better, but I might do that. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of games I'm staring at right now that I want to start playing because the Lies of P expansion, I got announced, and I still haven't finished Lies of P. So I kind of want to start and do that. And yeah, there's a lot that I want to do, but we'll see what happens.
You can also preload Monster Hunter Wilds right now.
I have my mouse ready to do that right now, but I'm not going to do it while I'm on stream.
Yeah, so many games, so little time. So, all right. As for myself, I haven't talked to Dude about it, but I'm as long as it works for him, we'll be back tomorrow night with some more reverse Dude Souls because we're watching him show me how it's done. I'm assuming that it works for you, Dude. I'm planning on it tomorrow, so let me know in chat if that works for you. And then on Thursday night will be another episode of Open Mic. Finally got around to having the first Open Mic of the year last week with Nerd Slap and introduce the intro that he was working on for me, and I love it. So And this week, the guest on Open Mic is Flame Mage. He said he just finally got a mic and a camera, and he was inspired by our little sphere of YouTube here to get on as well. So he's like, I was like, hey, if you got the equipment, you want to come on Open Mic and talk video games? He's like, absolutely. So I'll have Open Mic with Flame Mage on Thursday night, and I definitely got to get Lowest Expectations on here soon as well. So
One of these days.
Yeah. So dude says he's planning it. So all right, yep, we'll have more Dude Souls tomorrow night. So and then I'll be back with Metroidvania Monday on Monday, and I should be finishing up Super Metroid because I'm about this close to the end. Because on the last one, I found out that on Super Metroid, I figured that the dot meant you collected the item in here, but that just means that there is an item here. So I had to go. I basically had 3 items left to get 100%, and I was like, oh, that means I have to go check every spot in the game again because I might have gone past it and it shows me a dot. But that doesn't mean I necessarily collected it. So off stream, I went and found the last 3 items I was missing. So I've got all the items. So now I'm just ready to go fight the final boss. And so that won't be very long. And then we'll go immediately into Metroid Fusion. And then we'll be back with Party Chat at this time next week. So as mentioned, 2 weeks from today on the 11th will be the next episode of Top 5. We are ranking our top 5 favorite Switch games. And we got Lowest Expectation here is joining us. And our other guest will be Melee James. So that about does it for me. And thank you guys for joining us for another fun episode of Top 5.
Thank you, guys.
You got, I almost forgot.
That's why I wish I had something.
I do that almost every episode. I almost forgot. So Jason, before we sign off here, what are the group rankings?
All right, so we have a tie at number 5, and that's going to be a tie between Resident Evil 4 and Jet Force Gemini. Our number 3 is Super Hot. Number 2 is Doom Eternal. And our number 1 is Halo 3.
All right. That's a good list right there. So, as always, we're happy to revisit some of these topics with new panel of guests. So if there's anyone out there wants to come on and ranks anyone, I've got a channel in my Discord of every episode we've done of Top 5 and what the topic was and who was the guest. So you can go and look and say, hey, I want to go and revisit this topic, and we'll make it happen. If you don't want to be on it, but you've got ideas for topics, let us know. I've got a running list of topics for Top 5, so we're always open. So this show is all about getting fun panels of people together to talk about their top 5 of whatever the topic is. So if you want to be on one or just suggest stuff, let us know. We're all ears. So thanks for joining us again, the panel, and then everyone that was in chat who hung out with us. Our viewership stayed pretty consistent at about 10 the whole time. So thanks for hanging out with us for over 3 hours as we ranked our favorite shooters. You guys, everyone, have a great night. We will see you all later, and we'll catch you next time. And as always, in the meantime, game on.